All right, welcome for joining us. Thanks so much for ill-fated session 15. Oh, it's so exciting.
Big hype.
Yeah, big hype. Looks like someone posted in the Discord chat. I can't actually see that with my setup right now. So if you're posting things in that little voice chat thing, I actually can't see it. I just have little notifications that randomly pop up.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't realize, and then I was like, oops, sorry.
I didn't see anything there. So, okay.
Ugh.
So if it's something important, just say it out loud. Or do
No,
you?
he said he hadn't watched the episode yet, and I was like, oops,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. So going through the recap of the previous session, so a lot of things kind of happened. There was a lore posting, obviously, in the Discord that I sent. It's in a PDF. So you go through that and you can look up some stuff. And that's really just broadening, kind of touching up on what Lord Town Floor said previous, right, in that session that we had, the stuff from the Library of Light that was brought up. But really, the session prior to Beyond the Library of Light stuff was shopping. We did a lot of stuff where we went shopping at the Emporium. We went to had a character, right, went to the Order of Embrock. That was Lucar. And it got an L, who is L, right, and kind of got maybe some interesting wisdom and guidance towards what they're intending to do. And then Thanos, obviously, you're blacksmithing 2 days worth of time here, and you're making a dark steel plate from Eldor. So, and I believe it's selling, and yeah, some time spent in the Sentry Cathedral, it looks like. Met Valria, it's kind of like a bishop type character, head priestess, and then we had Maldor spending time and kind of reaching and talking with Helm and giving some, I wouldn't say cryptic, but borderline cryptic information, right, based on their words that they were speaking, and it kind of trying to guide you to what they believe you might already like speculate or understand, as far as trying to reason with yourself. Helm is actually quite like that, and it's a lot of the canon. It's just kind of is someone that is not cryptic to answer, but more of letting like people come to their own knowledge and their own determination with themselves. And then they are also very war heavy and things in some of the later canons. So that's kind of the recap. And I believe we ended with the Smith's Row. We're still kind of there, and I think Thanos is working in the Dark Steel Plate, and we kind of have decisions of what we're gonna do for the rest of the day. Obviously, we're still in the afternoon, evening. We know what Thanos is doing here, but as far as the rest of you are concerned, you kind of have opportunities what you're gonna do. So I'll go ahead and pick it up there.
So, we have the mission from the Lord to investigate the disappearance. Is that our only urgent business in the city?
Urgent, yeah. I mean, I think we still have stuff we wanted to look up, but
Was there something else we wanted to look up? I thought we did all the research.
I mean, I know we did some research. I don't know why I keep thinking there's something else, but
I think we were going to research an underground fight club for Lucar. Or maybe start one.
If we fast forward 18 hours, I can neither confirm nor deny whether somebody in the criminal underground has lost their head.
Yeah. So we researched the background on the Arcane Purge. We researched the background on the sword. And then we researched some background information on the Chosen Ones. And we got a lot of information about the sword and the Arcane Purge. But the stuff about the Chosen Ones was like vague and not very helpful, I think, is how that went. Just to give a general overview.
If one of you smart people would like to figure out a way for me to not have to go pick up my arrows, that would be fantastic.
It sounds like some kind of weird magic that you'd have to Probably go to the magic
It
shop
sounds like something you would craft.
Or you could hire a squire to just go pick them up for you.
But then you'd have to hire a new
Yeah,
one. when
you
they get
retrieve
killed.
the bolts.
Where's Maldor Jr. when you need him?
Yeah. But I was thinking maybe we go and start our investigation and just kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with.
Did you want to do that now, or should we wait for Thanos to finish his work?
I mean, he's gonna
Up
be
to
tied
Thanos,
up
I
here
suppose.
for a while, so it's kind of up to him.
If you guys don't want to wait, you don't have to wait. I can scope it out at night. See if I find anything you miss. No one will see me coming or going anyway.
That sounds good. We can do an initial investigation and return with what we found.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine by me.
All right. Well, I guess we'll head to his home.
Okay, so you're gonna go to the house of Randall Gurn.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Get this started.
And so the only person who's not going is gonna be Thanos, because Thanos you're currently working. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure. All right. And then I believe Lucar at this point because you've left the Hall of Emberock, you've rejoined, so you're going to be essentially kind of coming in tow, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure I have understanding of where everyone is at and place and things. Okay. And also still put you on, as far as that map is concerned, so make sure your token's down so you can at least see it, vision things. Okay, so passing through the Merchants District, you're going through the city, kind of backtracking towards the west here, moving different blocks, alleyways, and things. You eventually reach, like, you leave the Smiths Road, leave the roads, and you're aimed towards the south side of the actual Holy District, and you can see the change of the actual temperature and the weather is formed between the barrier there. But there's still a little bit of snow, and it's cold even here. The foundry's blooming with the amount of smoke that's kind of filling this space. It's difficult to see and breathe and things. There's a lot of individuals working and making their way around. And particularly individuals that are actually kind of leaving their place of work, right? They're leaving the foundries, they're shifting to covered in suit and whatnot and lighter clothing because they've been working hard, potentially in crucibles and other smelters and whatnot to continue to process things. There's a lot of horse traffic, like carts and whatnot, moving out of this particular area as things have been completed during the day. And they're potentially heading maybe to Fort Frostbeard to stow them away, heading towards the keep grounds to stow the ingots away. Or they're actually taking them to potentially even other smiths, right? And Smith's Row could also be on the keep's grounds. Those things are kind of happening at the end of this day, so there's a lot of traffic around you. Passing by the cemetery, and then you're making your way towards Randall Gurn's house. Now, starting off with the description, without transitioning to the map, the particular house that you have here is 2 stories. It has a mixture of different windows towards the back side of the building, and you have essentially 3 different windows towards the back side of the building looking in. You don't see any lights within the actual second story windows. There's no real windows upon the first floor because they're actually blocked, barricaded right now. So there's planks of wood that have been nailed down to them and anchored into the stone bricked walling. The entire structure stands roughly about 22 to 23 feet in height, so suggesting you might have like vaulted ceilings on the first floor, second floor. And then you have a raised foundation of roughly 3 to 4 feet that kind of brings it off of the heavy, like kind of large cobbled sidewalk and then the small, loosely cobbled street. And there's a little bit of sidewalk that wraps around. Planter boxes and other things kind of wrap around. And then the separation of particular small little alcoves fit for breathing or type of air into the cellar, suggesting the cellar actually lines the alleyway, which is between the building on its north side, right? So there's an alleyway on the north side of the building, then there's another building there, and then you have little pockets of ventilation for air going into the cellar, perhaps. Their entire structure is quite large, but it's not a manor, right? It's just a house. And given the fact that the front door itself, which is this double wooden door with metal etch, is also barricaded and blocked out, and a lot of the shrubbery and thickets have kind of, even though they have leaves and things, a lot of the leaves have fallen down and whatnot. It's just not maintained, right? So even though this individual has only been missing for a period, it seems as though this house has not been maintained longer than that, given maybe transitional period, a couple other factors, right? So you maybe get your minds percolating here as you're looking at the structure. So again, the planar boxes really wrap around, and your eyes are fixated on potentially, the second story windows. Are like they broken in? Is there any signs that someone had scaled the building? Is the front door kind of busted in? Is any of the planks of the barricades destroyed or anything? So your eyes are really on the outside of the building and trying to scan and look and see what you can kind of figure out just on the first glance. And something catches as you approach the building, because you're approaching it on the back side of the building. The front faces towards the west, and so you're coming at it from the east. And so you're staring up, and you can see the windows up, the barricades there, so you can see the windows. And one of the actual windows is slightly cracked open on the eastern side. So the second story, eastern facing, one of the windows on the left-hand side is currently cracked just a little bit. Essentially swings with a double pan, kind of swings a little bit, right? And you kind of just see that. And then you continue your investigation, wrapping around and looking at the front door. You can see that no one has entered into the building. There's actually 2 guards that are currently posted up at the front door, one of which is just sitting down on the steps that walk up to the door, and another one is by the actual wrought iron fencing that goes around the planar boxes and the planar areas. And they're currently just having a small chat amongst themselves. So they see you kind of walk around the building on the south side using the street, and they kind of turn and look into your direction and kind of shake the head, and they tip some of their helmets and things, and they kind of step aside. One begins to grab like a crowbar, and it's this a gnome that kind of stands up from the stairs, and the other one's a human, and kind of goes in to start actually working on the door. So they begin to pull the planks off of the door. There's a sign posted there. You can see it says "Keep out, no trespassing," and they're kind of beginning to undo the planks there, noting that they recognize who you are. They've been told, communicated that you would be coming by and essentially investigating. So not really any words need to be spoken. Eventually they get the planks done. Kind of gnome turns around. All right, should be ready to go for you.
Hey,
Much
Lucar,
appreciated.
do you want to stand at the back of the house for a bit? I think. So this is, wild guess, but the window cracked like that makes me think maybe someone went in through the window and might come out if we walk in.
Sure, I can do that.
Okay. So we'll have you posted in the back, and we'll let you know if we see anything. And if we don't catch anything after a while, you can just come meet us inside.
Ask them who they are before you kill them. Might be useful information.
Do I have to ask them who I are before I clothesline them?
No.
Excellent.
Okay. Let's do this. And I'll enter the house.
Okay. So passing by the guard, you go into enter the house. So you're kind of working your way into the structure. I'm going to go ahead and activate that scene in just a second because my thing had to reload.
So this house is lit up. It's not dark.
So the actual torches and the sconces on the walls, which are kind of this bronze sconce. I'm going to also delete this. I don't know why. So the actual bronze brass sconces that have these kind of lamps and these lantern-like things. The candles themselves are not lit. They're not providing light. But the actual fireplace that is there is providing light. So there's fire that seems to be emerging from the fireplace.
Is that somebody sitting down?
think it's a statue. Right?
So looking about the space, immediately you understand that the house is not furnished properly. And when it's furnished, it seems to be very haphazardly put together. The house, in addition, has seen numerous renovations and changes. A lot of the planks of the wood flooring is slightly refinished or it's been pulled up. This is another property that has been transformed from perhaps a commoners from the Holy District, right, or other area, and it's being slowly turned in to something else. And again, the process is extremely slow, it seems. And so what little furnishings are in here probably was just kind of collected from the previous owners of the house. And some of the actual new walls and new flooring that's been put in is maybe perhaps on the new occupant. But Randall, given from the investigations, whoever's been living in this place, it's been recently within at least several weeks. So whoever's last lived here and moved for the furniture and the certain things, the dust collecting upon them. Not a lot of time.
When did they say Randall had gone missing? Was it a few days?
6 days ago.
You said there's a light in the fireplace? Is it like a fire or what?
It looks like a fire, yeah.
That's weird.
So it's an Othema gentrification project, is what you're telling me.
I'll go ahead and do a detect magic and scan the room.
Okay. Are you ritualizing it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's taking 10 minutes. Beginning to look around. So the fire coming to Zeph, you look at the fireplace. It does have firewood stacked neatly to the left and right. Many of it appears to be dried and ready to go. You don't particularly see a whole lot of firewood that's fresh in there. It's mainly just charcoal and things underneath, and the fire itself kind of seems to envelop and sit over top, and it does not seem like two of them are connected. Essentially, the embers and charcoal aren't lit. They seem to be cold and dead, but the fire itself seems to be alive. Staircase to the corner there seems to round up to the second floor. Again, the windows are barricaded, so you can't see outwards of any other streets or whatnot. The first floor is barricaded eventually. So after you come up to the fire, step through, you're looking towards it, you don't feel any heat.
Oh, is there a magical fire going?
I guess I'll look at it and see if it's magical.
Okay. Taking 10 minutes at this point to ritualize cast your detect magic. Let me see if I actually have.
After 10 minutes pass, I would probably telepathically send Varys a message just telling him it's all clear and if I should come in.
Okay.
I would probably telepathically send back that let us check upstairs before you come in. It shouldn't take that much longer.
Okay, so you
It's a very
respond.
slow and thorough sweeping of the house.
Yeah. Give me at least 2 hours. As you throw down your detect magic, you sense that there's magic all throughout this place, and actually specific magic. The actual fireplace is School of Illusion type magic as it's beginning to protrude. You look and you can see that the actual couch armchair that's next to you seems to have some illusionary magic as well. And so there's just pieces that are blotting. Actual coffee table over at the sunken den area seems to have illusionary magic. One of the chairs at the dining room table has illusionary magic. So I'm feeling some illusionary magic coming from the kitchen upon the floor. So it's the pool cue next to you.
This guy is
When
super into illusionary magic.
Yeah, so when I touch these, they're all just illusions. They're not real.
So as you touch the couch armchair, which is the closest to you, you can feel that the actual there has scratches in it, like nail scratches and scuffs and pieces of wood chipped out of it. But upon looking at it, it looks new and nicely finished. You move over to the pool cue, you pick up the pool cue, and you pick up only half of it. You see that it's been broken in half. And then you look down, and you see that the pool cue looks like a pool cue.
I'll dispel magic on the pool cue.
Okay. So you use Dispel Magic on the pole cue, and as you do that, you can see that the magic itself subsides upon the pole cue, and you have 2 pieces of the pole cue. But after a little bit of time, roughly 20 to 30 seconds or so, the illusion pops back up.
This
So it
probably won't
doesn't-
help any.
It doesn't look like they used it to cover up a murder. It just looks like this is a permanent enchantment on the.
Roll an
On
intelligence
this?
check.
Slowly.
Oh god.
There's probably a central thing that maintains it, but yeah.
16, they're not mutually exclusive with each other in that regard. So you're making 2 different, I would say 2 different conclusions with, you're making 2 separate
Yeah.
conclusions and with which need 2 separate pieces of evidence. I don't think you could use the same evidence for both of those. I think
Okay.
for you with an intelligence check of 16, knowing that the illusionary magic has now been reproduced even after you have dispelled it, suggests that the actual source of the illusionary magic is not this. So you've only put away the illusionary magic, and then there's another source of this that is putting it upon it. So the spell magic must be
Definitely explore
targeted.
more.
Exactly. So
Right.
the spell magic has to be
Yeah.
put onto like the source of something, right? In order to stop any sort of magic that's being created and things. And so immediately your brain with your passive arcana goes to perhaps a ward or a glyph or some sort of inscription, especially if it's a house, right?
What's
And
Is this a statue in the middle of the room? Is that like?
Yeah, it is a statue. It's been, you can see the scratch marks around it. It's been kind of pulled through in place. It seems to be of a human that's kind of stretched and standing there, kind of regal with a robe and bright and looking. There's no inscriptions or things, and actually it's half completed. So just seeing the actual marble work of the granite needs to be finished. There's bookshelves that are haphazardly placed next to it, just kind of leaning, some of which are kind of turned and moved. And then the books itself kind of in there are rather maybe 20% filled, and they have fictional things. There's a couple different books as far as interior design and other things of like how to furnish a home. That kind of, it's just not very filled, and there's not anything in there that seems to be particular.
So I'll turn to
Um,
Zeph, and my first instinct will be: we need to find the source of this illusion magic and try to dispel that, so that we can get a good look of everything and not just 20-second interval of whatever we dispel, because we won't have I don't think we will have the spell slots to be able to chain
I
past it.
I suspect that may take some time. Should we sweep the top floor before we continue
Yeah.
our investigation?
Yeah, before we move on, just I don't think it'll do anything for the actual illusion, but just in case someone's hiding, I'm going to cast See Invisibility on myself.
Okay.
Which
Good call.
Just going to put the charmed effect on you to note that you have it on. Okay, but you're kind of looking around. You don't see anything that's invisible.
better safe than sorry. All right. Yeah, let's move upstairs real quick. So, Get that out of the
Michael,
way.
the room I'm in, is this like a trap door underneath this table to like a cellar?
It's a cellar door, yeah. And based on the fact that the alleyway between the houses had actual ventilation for the cellar, right? Similar to like a daylight basement situation in the foundation. So the cellar could be quite large, and given the state of the house and how small the kitchen is, most of the actual storage of this house most likely goes into the cellar.
And then one more question before we head upstairs. Does it look like anything in this room has been shifted around recently, according to the investigation of the commander? Like maybe he came in here and he moved a bunch of stuff around, or does it look like everything stands still?
I don't think you could make that at all, because you would have never seen the house prior to it, so you would not know.
I was just
that.
wondering if there was like any scrape marks on the floor or anything like that.
Yeah, there are scrape marks on the floor, but if
But
they're
it wouldn't be able to.
I mean, it could be from the commander. It could be from somebody else. It could also be from moving
Right.
and furnishings.
I think for the answer to that question, we need one of the investigators that was here to answer
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, you would need. You'd probably need Wrangler Uku in here, even and you could always roll an investigation check if you're trying to understand how long ago the scratch was made. Collecting the
I will-
sample,
David.
I'll roll one and see what I can.
filling
I
in
can-
the seams.
Can I? If I see him looking around like that, can I guidance him?
Sure, you can roll, guys. Roll a d4.
roll-
That's
roll a
fine.
D4. That's
Nice.
25.
25.
Oh.
Very nice.
So you would kneel down, hunched over the planked floor, and you look at one of the scratches inside of a nearby chair. You stare at it, looking. You put your finger into it. You lick it. Particles of wood kiss your tongue. You begin to taste. Feeling the oxidative layers of the wood, you begin to understand of how long ago this floor has been scratched.
I was looking to the past and see how long it's been scratched.
Has to
Varus,
be-
what the fuck are you doing?
Has to be within 3 weeks.
That's unsanitary. Don't put that in your mouth.
Listen, I'm doing my thing. Leave me alone.
Your thing is questionable.
My
So
thing
is
is,
yours, but-
yeah, you literally spawn an echo out of your body. I don't want to hear anything.
But I don't try to lick it.
That's because you
Yeah, we
can't.
know
He's
it.
got a point.
You'll fucking cut your head off if you try to do.
He's got a
Probably.
point.
All right, so I went ahead and just made that the actual second level is accessible, so you can actually click on it, so you can cycle through, and then all your tokens are placed in
Oh, yeah.
there, so you can actually just walk upstairs. That's your goal.
Before all of you go upstairs, does someone want to come with me to the basement?
Yeah, we need to allocate people accordingly. Thanos is
Yeah.
not with us, and Maldor. It's us. So it's Maldor, Tegan, Zeph, and myself, right?
Yeah, I'll
And
go
then-
down with Tegan.
Okay, that'll sound good. And then me and Maldor will do the upstairs suite.
Diagonal through my doors. Some of them straight up. So you approach
Also,
upstairs.
weird question.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was gonna give a description
No,
of
it's-
upstairs, but
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. So you head upstairs, rounding around. The vaulted ceilings are roughly 9 to 10 feet, open up into the second story. You come into a corridor, loosely with shelves and other things. The whole place seems to be void of decor, any sort of artwork and banners or anything. It's just nothing on the walls. It's rather odd, but hey, if the person hasn't been here for that long, maybe that their priorities are not set on furnishing this house and making it into what it could be. What catches your eye immediately is that there are no windows on the eastern side of this building, but you saw windows on the eastern side of this building. So immediately catching your eye is that, hey, there should be some fucking windows on this wall, and there isn't. Passing into a couple different rooms here, saw small twin beds and nicely made bed frames, beautiful stained wardrobes. The beds are perfectly made. The nightstands are there. Chest is at the base of the beds, all of which are unlocked. The chest and the nightstands, nothing it seems. You open the drawers, all of them clean. There's dust collecting on top of them. The bathrooms are clean. Actual fixtures to the toilets. No shit or piss have been in them. Ever, it seems. New.
Is my detect magic popping off anything?
Mm-hmm. When you detect magic, you actually detect magic coming off of the space up here. It seems that the whole floor itself is riddled with enchantment and illusionary magic. It's difficult to tell what the source is. Opening the door at Maldor, you look in and you see that there is a dwarf taking a shit currently upon one of the fixtures of the master bedroom. Oh! Shut the door, what are you doing?
Is he Italian? Kind of.
Yeah, well, we haven't got to the accent fully yet, but it's the hands up. It's dwarf covered in this blackish leathers with stud metals. Pants are hanging down of matching leathers and belts. They have daggers and other sorts of weaponry up on the hip and the side. Boots that go to the knee high. They have a kind of an eye patch that crests over weathered old face. This brownish bushy beard that comes down with black hair that comes bridled into one ponytail. They have a symbol which is actually on a kind of a half poncho kind of thing that comes over or shawl comes over the side, has an eye, half of it which is closed. There's a lot of reds and blacks of the particular outfit that they're wearing. And again, they kind of hand their head. Looks, sees now that your echo has appeared, right? And looks towards.
Would I hear that from where I'm at?
I mean, you can hear the voices coming from the room. It's completely quiet in here.
I
It's
think-
the wind that's outside.
I think
Fireplace.
as soon as I'd hear that, I'd kind of like sprint over just in case like some shit's going down.
Some
Wait,
literal
where's-
shit is going down.
Wait,
apparently.
where's Maldor at? Is he in? You're
I
in
don't know.
this
You gotta go
room?
find him.
That's where you hear the voice coming from.
I guess yeah. I'd run over to this bedroom, not see shit. Maldor, what's wrong?
Perhaps we
It
should get
seems
to
we-
some introductions. My name is Marvin. Do you mind if I finish what I'm doing in here?
What are you doing in here?
Well, does it look like I'm taking a shit?
Do you make a habit of shitting in the house of people who have recently gone missing?
No. Nothing like that. No, I just simply had to go and I was here. So
But
perhaps
why
would I
would you-
finish? That is something we could talk about, yes.
You have
I would like to
precisely
finish.
5 seconds to tell me what you're
As
doing
he's
here.
doing this, I'm gonna hit a detect thoughts on him.
You are concentrating on your detect magic. So
I'll drop that and do the detect thoughts.
Are you okay? So fully casting it, just holding up the hands. You hear
Yeah, hold up.
in the thoughts as you throw out detect thought. Are you trying to penetrate deeper into the mind of this dwarf?
Do I have to do that right away, or I don't know why I rolled it on myself. I thought I was putting it on me, so I'm concentrating. Never mind.
Detecting your own thoughts.
Yeah.
When you
Sorry, my bad.
yeah. So if you cast detect thoughts, you obviously get the surface thoughts of a creature. As an action, you can shift your attention to prompt probe deeper, right? So it's a minute-long cast, so it's not that long. And so if you're if you're going to use it, right, within a minute to actually probe deeper, you should probably make
I'll
that
hold off.
declaration.
I'll hold off on the surface, and then if he says something that interests me, I'll probe deeper. But I just want to get the surface for now.
Okay. So looking into
I'll
their
cast it again if I need to.
looking into their thoughts, they don't appear to be showing any sort of fear even after seeing the echo. They seem to be confident. They also are very much in need of finishing this shit. They'd like to wipe. So that's
But there
really
wasn't.
what-
He didn't say any. He didn't have any thoughts when Maldor was like, "What are you doing here?"
No.
Okay.
No. Nothing like
Okay.
that. Nope.
I'll let,
Maldor's gonna snatch
let
him off the
Maldor
toilet
intimidate him
and,
some more.
and drag him in here.
All right. All right.
Holy shit.
Oh. A little bit of manners would be nice, but that's okay. I understand.
Better cut it off, bud.
So the pants begins to do the belt. Well, looks towards the hands. My name is Marvin.
Why are you
And
here, Marvin?
Why am I here? Well, I am here simply because I want to talk with all of you. I have been keeping tabs on this investigation, and, well, I happen to be the guildmaster for this Rue de Car, which is the branch of the Thieves Guild here. We've been following up and working early on with Lord Downfallor, but not anymore. And I was very surprised to see that the investigation has been pawned off, well, to you instead of me.
You didn't tell us anything about you working on this investigation.
Breaks my heart.
Perhaps he
That's okay.
doesn't trust a master of thieves.
We are not necessarily thieves. I think thieves is a horrible word to use. We primarily focus on espionage, and we are for the Commonwealth.
Right. Can I ask you a question then?
Sure.
Do you know what the basis of all this illusion magic over everything is?
Well, you see, I came in from the window. You see, as you look outside, it looks perfectly normal. You're actually appearing out of the western side of the building here. But as I opens the window, you see now the eastern side of the building. That is a little strange, yes?
Yeah. Why is there so much illusion magic everywhere in this place? Is my
I
question.
do not know. That is something that, well, I hoped you all would have answered to after I got in here. But of course, I had some bad lunch, and I needed to use the bathroom, and I was rushing over here to try to beat you all to the punch. Not entirely sure what you were doing in the Smith's Row, but it's fine.
Well, let's let our guest Maldor finish taking his shit, because I've read his thoughts and he really needs to go.
Well,
I think
I think I'm finished now, but that's okay. It seems that I've been greatly disturbed. And I wouldn't want to mess with this one. It seems that they have some weird thing in there.
yeah. That is we just call him an echo.
Echo. Odd.
It just serves to keep people honest.
Serve to... By what? Killing people? Brute strength?
Scaring them.
Seems like the
That is a shortcut to honesty.
Sure. You mean you get what you want to hear? I mean, that's really what it is. They just tell you what you want to hear. That's it. You do know that, right? They just scream and they say, "Oh, don't kill me, please! Or say whatever you want," and then you hack them anyways, right?
Depends on the day.
No, it depends on the day. So your mood strikes you. So don't make this one angry. Get mad! I slice your head off.
He's not
Not
joking.
me you have to worry about.
Yeah, he's not joking.
He's not joking, right? Good luck. Slicing my head off.
It's okay. So you're going to help us with this investigation? What did you want to talk to us for?
I simply was going to offer some aid and information, and well, after I got here, then the investigation really picked up. I have yet to actually be inside of this house. Not necessarily what the noble go disappearing. That's strange, yes. And of course, Wrangler Uku is not great in terms of investigations. So, but I wanted to give my information to you, since no one else would hear it. And, well, if you need my aid further, then so be it.
I welcome any advice you have or any information.
Perhaps we should go downstairs and I can talk to all of you. This would be good.
Okay. Yeah, we thought someone was in here trying to cover up something, so we have a man outside. I'll call him in. And then you'll see me, like, kind of touch my temple a bit and try to reach out to Lucar and let him know that it's safe to come in now.
Are you in pain? What's happening with your head?
No. And then I'll do it to him and say, how are you doing?
Well, that is quite interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Then.
yeah, I'll let Lucar know he can come back inside.
Luke, are you going to be all clear? All right, so we have Tegan and Zephyr going down below to the cellar.
Mhm.
And then Tegan, what were you wanting to know? What did I ask something?
I just wanted to go downstairs and take a look around, see what was going on.
Okay, so yeah, you move the table and then you open up the cellar door. You begin to kind of stride down, roughly about 8 feet or so, goes underneath the building, forms into a long rectangular room that permanently heads south, and it has an arched kind of ceiling that's supported by creneals and whatnot. There's meat hooks and other things, so there's actual food in here, but it's very quaint in the sense that the room is large. It's a big cellar. It's massive as far as its length. It goes all the way into the building, almost into the street, and it forms essentially a quarter of the actual width of the house here. But there's just not a lot of food, right? There's a couple sacks of decayed, kind of dried apples. Oh man.
Bless you.
So there's a
Like
couple
it
sacks of kind of dried, decayed apples at this point. There's a couple boar pigs, right, that are kind of hung up. They've been, butchered and whatnot. But it's just not a lot of stuff. Crates of produce. The produce is kind of rotten, right? Suggesting that it's older. It might have already been here, potentially when the house was purchased, right? Because several weeks, right? This seems like it's been decayed longer than several weeks. And you're not finding a whole lot of clues or information here. You're passing through some of the sacks. You're looking at it, some of the stamps of the crates, maybe where the produce come from. It seems either from the greenhouses here in Uthema, or from orchards that are by Fort Farron, the Northern Gourd Valley. The pig could come from anywhere, and the meat hooks themselves don't have any fresh blood on them. There's nothing like someone or any real blood that's been pooled up on the floor or anything, and the stonework is not scuffed down here, the walls. More than welcome to make an investigation check if you're attempting to look for anything else on the walls, anything that you.
I was more so looking to see if there was any. Did you say there was a tunnel leading out into a different place, or is it just the big room itself down here?
It's just a long rectangular room. So you have a width of
Right.
itself of roughly 20 feet. So it's a 20-foot width, which is massive for a cellar. And then you have a long length. So as soon as you come down, you're kind of stretching and looking down all the way, through the ways. And the actual length of the building runs roughly 50 feet or so. And so this actual cellar is matching that length. So it's just a long and slightly wide rectangular room. And then it has a semi-arch ceiling, and the ceiling itself is only 8 feet or so. So it's just kind of slight barrier between that and the actual floor above.
Right. Just before I roll an investigation check, did I notice a layer of dust on the floor, like anything disturbed?
Yeah, so you're looking for things. So there's actual air. So there's little pockets of boreholes on one side, and you can actually see some light coming. So there's maybe some work in the stone towards the western side of the wall here, which is to your right. And so you can see that there's holes there, and there's air flow coming in. You can skate light as well, kind of dances through the stone. So that is giving you light. It's also giving you air. And so you're looking for maybe accumulation of dust from the outside that comes in. You're looking on the sacks and things, all of which seem to have not been disturbed passively with your investigation. None of them seem to be disturbed as far as the dust layer upon the floor, and the sacks as well as the food products. They have not been disturbed within a week or so. So they're longer than a week, essentially, of dust.
And how long ago did this guy disappear?
6 days.
Okay. I'll do just a quick investigation roll and
Okay.
guide myself along the walls. And try to find any loose bricks or pressured plates or anything.
Okay. Looking for secret things. Okay. 18, roll d4.
You gonna roll it or?
You roll d4.
I thought Seth was gonna roll it.
Seth rolls your
rolls it.
Beautiful.
Seth rolls your guidance for you. Here you go. You roll. So if your guidance, you cast you roll
You
your own.
guys keep rolling D4.
I know.
Too.
Forward support. So 22. You're fighting through the stone. The stone is nicely constructed. The cellar, it seems to be, the stonework is quite old, suggesting that this house, the cellar, anyways, has been hundreds of years old. Right. So this is a very old structure as far as its cellar and foundation and things. You cannot find any grooves within the brick stone here. So you're looking for grooves, you're looking through things, get some dirt, maybe a couple spaces where dirt's coming in, some of the settling, right? And you're thumbing your fingers and you're looking at the floor, putting for pressure plates, bedrock, and the stone here, but you're not finding anything. Nothing presses through, nothing shifts in the way that you would imagine them to be some sort of hidden passage or entrance. I think what your investigation of 22 would allow you to know is that this cellar has not been used in 2-3 weeks. So if Randall had come here and has been living here, he has not been using the cellar. He just hasn't been coming down here.
Right. And we didn't see any. Just from walking through the kitchen area, there was no active food upstairs that we saw or anything.
No. There's no food products at all upstairs. In fact, there's no cutting boards placed out. There's no cups. And even when you looked into the cupboards of the kitchen, there is a void of furnishings. So there's maybe a plate, 2 cups, right? 1 knife. There's just nothing really up there.
And were we told how long he'd been living here for?
You have not really been specifically told how long that Randall has been here for, but based on what I was giving the description of, when you entered into the home with your passives, you're able to understand that this has the furnishings have been placed and the cracks, feeling the wood with your tongue and the particulates of oxidation has been several weeks, right? So whoever has been living in here The most recent person has been living in here recently for 3 weeks. But there's just not a lot of information to go off of beyond that, right? So you're understanding that, hey, the furnishings appear to be newer or something, right? So that's giving you that idea. And I crashed again. I'm back.
He's back. He didn't lose power. Yeah.
It's gonna happen. I love it. Okay. So based on that, that's what I'm saying is that you can't. So you're looking towards maybe the rug, right? The actual entryway rug or something. Like how much dirt has accumulated over it, and you're given the 3-week period. No one's cleaned either, right? So that's why I'm giving you that information without having to make a check, because the rug itself has accumulated that much dirt, and you're taking into account for the fact that guard might have came in here and trampled through. I'm giving you your passives, exactly what you would make if you were looking at something your character would.
Mm-hmm. If that's the case and there's nothing else further, I'd head back up to the main floor.
Okay. So I'm going to have Marvin come down here. Just kind of stands and it's down. Everyone, I think at this point, if you want to come downstairs to the first floor, if you make your way down, obviously we have detect thoughts going from Varys. Varys, you're getting the surface thoughts of individuals, and Marvin, this entire time, as far as the surface thoughts, have actually been repeating the same phrase over and over again.
Basically, because I told him I was reading his thoughts, he's
Correct.
protecting against it.
That's what it would seem.
All right. Well, I guess once we get down here, I'll shut off the detect thoughts for now. Stop concentrating on it.
Okay.
Who's the guy?
And I'll basically just say, you don't have to worry. I'm not listening in anymore.
Looks towards you and raises an eyebrow.
That's exactly what someone would want you to think.
I mean, if I really wanted to, I'd just force my way. I'm not going to do that.
That sounds very erotic, forcing your way into someone's mind, getting the deep thoughts. I wouldn't want to go into my mind, then. No.
You want to let me in?
No. I don't want you to know my fetishes and my naughty thinkings. No.
That's not what I
Well-
look for anyway. But
Greetings,
Apparently
everyone. I
it's
am
shitting in other
Guildmaster
people's
Marvin of the Rudokar. I was relieving myself upstairs when that one was threatening to chomp me down. Very scared. I come here in good tidings. And, well, wanted to speak to all of you. Some information.
whenever he says that, can I insight check him
Okay.
just to see?
22 seems to be telling the truth. It's really gotten started yet, so
I need to know
Well, I
who
just
hurt these
meant
people
if there
in a
was
previous
like
life, man.
any, I just like if he was lying to us basically about like
yeah.
you know,
So
why he came here.
yeah, I will state that if you're going to be rolling an insight check, to make sure that you have enough information. Obviously, it's you would base your insight check off of the fact that like there's just a dude upstairs, right? So if you're going to roll an insight check, perhaps upstairs, catching them coming out of the bathroom, right, being like, oh, I want to figure out if they're lying, that they were really waiting here, and things would be the proper time for the check. But now that they've come downstairs and that they're kind of going off of this, right, and they're essentially reiterating, they're saying the second time they're saying the information. There's
Right.
You're going to believe them based on what your passive is going to tell you, because you haven't had enough
Right.
evidence to tell you otherwise. So they're
Okay.
telling the truth. So they haven't really missed a step here. They're also seem to be collecting memories, information. So they're dancing their eyes a little bit around. So they're trying to recall certain things as they're continuing their conversation here.
Okay. Yeah. So I should have just done it earlier, is what you were.
Yeah,
saying.
if you're
Okay.
if you're gonna do an insight check, you want to insight something that they're doing. So if they're coming
Right.
out of the bathroom, like how are they coming out? Do they feel like we've caught them in an act or something, right? Do they look like they're right? And then you would have told you is like, oh yeah, they're surprised because they were taking a shit, right?
Yeah.
They seem to be very genuine here.
Okay.
Was
Which
it
you-
a believable shit?
Yeah, was it believable that they were taking a shit? So that's what the insight would be for. But it's really important to note is that I want to make sure that you get the rules out, but we want to be realistic with the rules, so we're not just rolling for rolling sake, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes
and,
sense.
And is it something that your character would do? Would they be rolling insight after they just used detect thoughts and they didn't sense anything? They've also had interaction with the character and didn't sense anything passively, right? Would now they do an insight check? Is that something that Varys would do? So make sure to always
I think he did. Yeah, he's very curious about what this guy's playing at. But
yeah. So put yourself in the character's shoes, and then find evidence, and then to justify the rolls, and you'll find yourself kind of rolling less, and then getting more information from the rolls that you're making.
Right. Okay.
So it gives off this introduction, essentially, and just kind of a little not bravado, but just kind of makes the hands. There's a lot of hand motions for this particular character. They're kind of moving their feet around, dexterous for a dwarf, and kind of sidesteps and things. We as the Rutakar, we pride ourselves in investigating and espionage. We work with many individuals across Arthuria, and even in Temeria and others. Someone has perhaps a cheating spouse, or there's, hey, my brother has gone missing. These are things that we do. We investigate. And, well, with the disappearances in such a holy city, and of course my home city here of where I operate this branch of the Rutakar, I had no choice, but I had to intervene. I met with Lord Dalmanfor, and I immediately knew that perhaps that there was something more going on than what's met the eye. So I do not believe Lord Dalmanfor is lying or perhaps hiding information. They just simply are not telling the whole information. They are not telling the entire piece of what is happening. Commander Ringo Uku, even though they are a rambunctious warrior and a strong fighter, they are very, what is the word? Stupid. Yes, very stupid. They investigate in the way that they have always investigated. They just do not care about the minor, mundane details. They imagine that, there's going to be some gruesome bloodbath, there's going to be arms missing, there's going to be hands. I don't see that, so nothing happened. They just disappeared. But I believe that these individuals, upon my investigations, have been taken. It is very strange that, well, everything has been swept clean, kept well. Why would someone's bed be made? Right? I don't make my bed. I don't know why you would make your bed. It's you get up in the morning and hey, it's like 2-3 minutes of your life wasted making a bed. You're simply gonna get in the night. Come on, what is the point? Let's be real. Out of character. Why make your bed? Oh, so it's plagued me that perhaps there's something happening. And of course there's a void of arcane. And I myself do not have the particular skills of mastery over the arcane, so I made my own speculations, and I found that many of these scenes were kept and cleaned intentionally. And whoever has taken these people has made great steps to make it so that they were not found or tracked. And of course, their skills of the arcane and covering their tracks and cleaning them are actually outmatch my abilities to investigate and to track. So, it's difficult in a city, and of course they are passerbys. They are people of no significance. So at the Rutakar, we've been keeping track of people coming into the city that would be travelers, adventurers, such as yourselves. And so we've kept eye on you, because you've made your way in, you started telling these fantastical tales, and that caught my eye too. I was like, these individuals are great champions or heroes of folk heroes of some kind, and we've kept eyes. Met with Lord Dalmanfor, we're getting audience from the Ringo Uku, and sure enough, I hear from my spies that you are investigating the disappearing people. You've taken assignments. Something should be. Lord, we don't need to go into that. You know it. I know it. It's okay. It's all right. And, well, here we are. So, I will tell you this. Something important. Randall Gurn has come here several weeks, moved very quickly. Randall Gurn is a noble and referred to as the collector in the People's Palace. They work for King Randall Talthar in the Office of Collections. Their task is to find and collect artifacts of religious significance. Why would someone that has been trained in the Imperial College over the Arcane, a noble for most of their life, born in Beelder, stayed and lived in Beelder, works as a head of an office, make way to the Holy City, if not to gather or find some sort of artifact of religious significance? And as you can see, the house, barely furnished. In fact, they've pretty much just taken some of the old house, put in with some of the new, and they've just thrown things about. And Randall hasn't even moved their family here, mind you. Randall has 3 children. A wife. None of them here. It's just Randall. And Randall has been meeting with the Lord quite a bit, discussing at court things. Do not know those things. The court is cleared. They speak. In addition, Randall has been heading to the Commodores Guild, most likely to get furnishings and other things for the house. It's very common. Simply pass upon the deeds and things that you might need to do for your own sake. You pass them on to someone else as a noble and you say, you go do that. I don't need to do that. I have the coin. So.
But he's been doing it all himself?
No. He's been going to the Commodores Guild. I'm sure speaking with Freymar, who's head of the Commodores, someone other that runs. But it is quite normal. That is really it. Randall
Why would
has...
the Lord? Why would the Lord not mention the fact that they've been having private conversations? All he said is that a resident of the city was missing. There was no mention to us about
Yeah.
any prior relationship.
I have a
That's-
feeling that the Lord is keeping that out on purpose. But for what reason? I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt. Anything else that you think we should know?
Is all I know now. I mean, as far as information that is worthy of you all, I don't believe anything that we have discovered here would lighten you all with any information. I think we're just talking more of cryptic and vague and riddles and get you more confused.
Yeah.
So we need to understand why Randall has gone missing and why that it is not a passerby that has gone missing. It is someone of noble, but not just a noble, but someone that is the collector of artifacts of religious value. Why have they gone missing? It is very odd. It's different than the MO, the motif. It's strange.
Yeah, well, I think something that could aid us in our investigation is finding the source. So when I dispelled the magic off of the illusion, I dispelled the magic off of the pool stick. I saw that the pool stick was in 2, but then the illusion reappeared. So, from what I understand, is that there is something providing the illusion over this whole house, and we need to find the source of that, so we can dispel that.
Crashed again, bro.
Yeah.
Wow. Every time.
Dispel magic on the DM.
It's honestly just this. I haven't crashed except for this group, which is super strange.
You're getting DDoS. They don't
special.
want you to play with us.
Something about the morning, I guess. I don't know.
That's interesting.
And didn't it happen last week too?
Yeah, it happened last week
Yeah.
a couple times. It was actually right around the same time, which is
About
kinda
the same
odd.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. I can change the Discord server. Like I can have it piped into a different server, but it's all right. We'll see what happens.
So it seems likely whatever the source is for the illusion magic, it's probably hiding itself behind the same magic it's got behind everything else.
So we should just start smashing things.
No, because that's a good way to ruin evidence.
I think probably what the thing we would do is maybe, I don't know, maybe dispel everything individually that we can and
Nah,
see.
I think there's too many things for that to. Unless we just get real lucky, because.
My thing
I'll
is,
tell you what. I'm going to go upstairs because I haven't been up there yet, and just real quick to see if I see anything with my see invisibility. I don't think it's likely we already found him, but just in case.
okay.
Avoid the west bathroom.
Okay.
It's a bit ripe.
Bless you. But yeah,
While he's doing that, can I specifically go look around this statue and maybe try to move these bookcases around to see if there's anything underneath or behind them?
Okay. So you move the bookshelves, sliding them out. You move the statue, which is half finished. scratching up the wood floor as you move, because the statue's quite heavy. But beyond that, you don't see any sort of damage or other things that would catch your eye. You see damage underneath the statue. It's kind of sunken into the wooden planks because the statue is quite heavy. But there's nothing. Some of the books fall out, right? It's only 20% or so filled. And you're looking, you don't see anything.
Is there any? This kind of vague, so I don't know if I'll be able to get anything on this. But is there anything I know about illusion magic that would give me an idea of where they would hide something like this? Would they hide it behind an illusion? Is that possible? Like, is that something that you can do? Is like have something like giving off an illusion and then hide that behind an illusion?
So your question is like two parts, right? Because you're asking about one and then thinking it leads to the other. So I would probably imagine that you know that enchantment magic and illusion magic are separate schools of magic, both of which you detected at the second floor. You don't detect any enchantment magic on the first floor. The enchantment could be the fact that the windows, the way that was observing, and it could be enchanted in the sense that you open the window, but what you're opening it to is actually not the correct side, right? And so maybe there's a blend of things happening. The illusion magic does not have to be exclusive with the illusion magic on the second floor. So the way that I described the fact that you're seeing that there's specific spots of illusionary magic upon this floor, which is different than an all-out illusion upon the second floor, right? You're just feeling. Remember, to detect magic, you can detect the source as long as the source is isolated or some pinpoint or thing. So at the second floor, you're just feeling it all around. Whereas on the first floor here, it's pinpointed to specific areas that you're feeling it. So if there's a source for these specific illusions, it could be an item that's here that is tucked away, and some maybe that's shrouded from detect magic, because you imagine you would feel it as a source of magic, or there is no item here, and it's not shrouded, and the source is upstairs, because it's the only other detect magic you've sensed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
And from my experience, like from being upstairs, was there a point for me to dispel the enchantment upstairs, or it was just like too vague for me to know?
It's too vague as far as, I mean, even detect magic honestly is most likely too vague for dispel magic most of the time. It's just the way the nature of the spell works. You're kind of just like getting a Peter tingle, right? Of like, oh, I feel it around me. Honestly, that's what it is. That's what detect magic is as far as the spell. So because you're pinpointing these is simply because there's so much space between and the objects themselves. You can feel it, and then you work off of feeling through the illusion, and then you're like, okay, that makes sense of why I'm feeling it from over here. As far as the second floor, if you dispel magic, you have to be dispelling an object or some sort of thing. You could dispel, one of the nightstands. You could dispel one of the mattresses. But if that's just being covered over by the illusion enchantment, you're not actually targeting the source of that, right? And so the way that I phrased it, because you dispelled the pull cue, it's just giving you a clue. You weren't dispelling magic of what it is. You're just removing some of the effect, which is just going to suspend it for a time, and then it's just going to come back, which
is
essentially is a fail. It's just a fail.
Try to dispel magic on the whole house.
You can attempt to dispel magic on the whole house, but you have to be particular about is if it's an object or so it depends. If you're going to grab a wall, you got to understand I'm dispelling magic of the house, touching the wall, and then you're going to dispel magic of the walls. But is it something in the walls, right? That's around this? Is it something that is attached to the floor, right? So we get into those kind of areas. It's possible to still dispel a house, right?
Okay, let me
house.
try that. Yeah, let me try that. I'll walk up to the wall and
What if we're in a
dispel
pocket
magic
dimension
on the
and
house.
he's about to collapse it on us?
Okay. Before you do that, because Zeph, you've been upstairs throughout this time, right? As you're kind of reasoning through. So Zeph, you actually have seen invisibility. You actually see that there is something that is invisible I'm going to go ahead and circle it for you, the pencil tool, coming to that space, that is actually not really a nightstand. When you actually see and stretch and looking through, you can actually see that that's a metallic safe. The metallic safe seems to have an intricate tumbler-like lock upon it. And as you move through and you kind of begin to pull your hand to it, you touch the nightstand, suggesting that the safe is actually in the ethereal plane. So it's an actual different space. It's a different plane. You're just kind of seeing it within that space. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I like as soon as I make that connection, I definitely will call out loud for Varus. Hey Varus, you're definitely going to want to see this.
I guess that would probably interrupt me before I did the dispel magic, so I wouldn't have done it yet.
Yeah, it's up
Is
to you.
what I think. Because I would think he would have been upstairs before I went to do it on the wall.
Okay.
I think. Okay.
It's up to you. It's
Yeah,
how
I mean,
long
I
you
don't want
wanted.
to I don't want to meta this. That's why I'm.
Yeah, it's how long. Zeph obviously went upstairs, and then we continued the conversation with Marvin. Then everyone just kind of sat around for a little bit, kind of questioning and thinking to themselves as Tegan went to move statue and bookshelves.
Okay, so I'll guess I'll walk up and be like, okay, so what am I looking at?
I was pointing at the fake nightstand. I would dispel that.
Okay. Do you don't have a dispel magic?
Dispel? No, that's not a thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, in any case, I don't have it prepared. Even if it's, I
Right,
don't think
right.
it's a.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's even a cleric spell anyway.
Okay. I will dispel magic on the nightstand.
Okay, so you reach out and you touch the nightstand. As you begin to dispel magic from it, you can see that the actual safe is not on this plane. So as you dispel the magic upon the nightstand, nothing seems to happen. So to you, looking at the nightstand, it's a nightstand. So you're touching it, spelling, nothing. Zeph, though, because you see invisibility, you can see invisible creatures or objects. When something is invisible, right, it actually is tapping in to the magic that is upon that plane, and then all of a sudden you're invisible. That's how that works, right? So you're kind of seeing through the veil. This, though, is not actually invisible per se. It's on the other.
Phased.
It's actually it's completely over. So you're touching the nightstand, and you're not touching the safe. The safe is just not there. So if it was invisible, Varus, you would touch it and you would feel safe. Does that make sense? So even if you had an invisible creature, you could touch them, and then you're like, okay, I feel it, right? But when you have like a spell, like what is it, blink, right? You're kind of going through and coming to the other side, right? You're actually going into that, and then you're coming back to, right? So that's kind of how that works. And so this, though, is permanently there. So when you're touching it, you don't. I won't count the dispel magic unless you want to rule this out. But I'm just going to tell you, Varus, that when you touch it, you don't feel a safe. You just feel the wood of a nightstand, and we've lost them. They're gone, but they're out of
It's just
here.
done.
Done deal. They
last
could not
level.
handle it.
Broke his brain.
The magic was too much. Oh, I'm gone too.
No,
Wow.
everyone's
Out of
lying.
here!
What is happening?
Everyone's dead.
Done.
Boo! We want the safe.
This has to
Get
be.
outta
This has to
here.
be like a Discord problem at this point, right?
Yeah. I was crashing last night a couple times.
Yeah.
I noticed. It's been fine today. But...
Oh, no, the internet's gone.
Oh, the internet's gone.
Oh,
Oh no.
It's the intern at AWS.
the one person we needed to solve this house.
So
All right, well-
basically, what it is basically it's like the blink, like you're saying, it's the blink, like the
It's
blink
blink.
spell, where it's considered in this space for purpose of knowing where it is, but it's not actually physically here.
It's not actually physically here. It is
Yeah.
whatever magic has changed this floor has also changed the fact that the safe is not here. It is somewhere else. So you can see that it's supposed to be here, but in a very similar fashion to a bag of holding, right? if you had that pocket dimensional space and you had your bag of holding, if I opened a bag of holding and I stuck my head into it, I'd be able to see all the stuff that's there, right? So, and you pull your head out, you can't see it. It's still there. It's inside of that thing. And so in space and relative positioning, it's supposed to be there, but it's just not. And so you can get that with the seed.
Question. Very stupid question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer. So things like bags and holding and stuff that interact with the ethereal plane in some way, like they're like separate things, right? Like if I was like right next to the safe and I stuck my head in a bag of holding, I would not see the safe, right?
Correct. You're putting yourself onto that pocket space in the ethereal, that plane. And again, it's a pocket space, and it's referred to a pocket space because it's a space within that plane that exists independently of other spaces within the plane. So you could jump to that conclusion stating that this safe or this floor is actually part of the pocket. It's part of a pocket on the ethereal plane. And you can just see that it exists in a place marker there. So the safe should be there if it transposed onto this plane.
Yeah, that's interesting because the safe thing combined with, I assume they would told me about it, the whole window situation on the west side looking out east. There's gotta be something.
Maldor doesn't understand any of that, but I assume he's intelligent enough at 11 to have noticed the window discrepancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Maldor on the east side is going to start making a new window, just to see if there's something behind the wall.
Okay. Make a strength check, please.
Making a new window.
You know, the last time I did this in a campaign, I actually opened a
So
hole.
the east side of the building
ethereal
is there.
plane.
That's the south wall there that you're at. So the actual east side is here, which is in the corridor
okay.
of the staircase. So you're going to go there and you're going to clear space. So you go over there, you start chomping away at the wood, breaking it apart, trying to figure out if there's a window that's here, and eventually you reach some stone of the actual wall, the actual bricked wall of the outer layer, because it's interplaned with wood. So you're kind of ripping and you're looking, and you have no success. You don't find a window. So maybe you pick a different spot along the eastern wall, and you continue to go at it
until we figure this out. He's gonna just keep. There's a window somewhere.
Yeah. So there's a window somewhere. So Varys and Zeph, you can hear the sounds now crashing at the corridor. Marvin's just downstairs, like looking up at the stairwell, kind of thinking, being like, "The fuck is? Oh my god!" Up there. But just staying down here and letting you all kind of make your investigation.
So like, there's got to be a trigger around here, because unless we think Randall was like some kind of powerful spellcaster of some sort, he must have had some way to bring this safe back to this phase of the material plane.
That's a very, very great assumption, speculation, because you can imagine if you're basing this off of a bag of holding, right? You open a bag of holding, right? So you would have to be able to open
either there's got to be a trigger around here somewhere, or maybe he had a key. I don't know. So yeah, I would imagine if there's going to be a trigger of some sort, it's got to be in this room, because this is where the safe is. So I'm going to start looking around.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception or investigation check.
I'll guidance myself too.
Okay.
Definitely perception, because I actually have a plus to that.
Natural 1.
I see wood.
You are kind of thumbing around. You're looking into the chest. You're looking into the wardrobe. You're looking into the bathroom. You're looking into the corridor. The hallway. You just don't see anything that would be out of the ordinary or something that would stand out to you that would be magical in nature.
What is this, by the way, on the east side?
That's a shelf. It's a 2-tiered shelf on the wall.
What do you think, Varys? Can he even hear me?
Are they bad? The question is Varys actually here?
Well, I mean, they're in the chat, but they're not saying anything.
Well, if you lose internet and then you come back, Discord will automatically connect you. So most likely Varus is not
Like
actually.
ghost you or something.
Yeah, the Varus is
Yeah,
not
it could
actually
be.
at the computer right now, probably.
Well, and there was
He's
nothing
gonna
else on
walk
this
in.
floor in the other rooms.
No, the master bedroom had a washed up. There actually was water in there, which is quite staunch and stale and covered with a layer of dust at this point. The wardrobes themselves are loosely kind of hung with different robes and clothes that maybe Randall wears. And you imagine there might be clothes easily for 4 or 5 days that are actually in here. The chest itself is unlocked. There's no padlock or anything suggesting this wasn't locked before. There's no tumble or anything. You open it, and all you do is you find sheets and other things for the bed.
Hey, there's.
Yep. Sorry, guys.
He's alive.
Internet went down for a sec.
I forget what point were we at where you went.
Oh, we dispelled the nightstand, but there was nothing that happened because it's in a different plane.
Well, he was saying right after that if I think you might not have if you decided to because you didn't actually physically touch anything. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you're
up.
saying you were smart enough to not waste the spell if you want.
I think you're smart enough to not waste a spell after reaching and essentially touching what is being described to you as a safe, and then realizing that you're touching wood still, and then it's not.
Oh, okay.
And then in addition to that, being just told that it's essentially an invisible thing. So when you're touching something that's invisible, normally you're just shrouding yourself with that magic from that plane. This though, it's not shrouded. It is actually not physically here. So you're just dispelling a nightstand because you're not actually touching and reaching the object that you're trying to dispel.
I can't
so
get into the session, like to the foundry, because it says I'm already logged in.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick you off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll take a little while.
I was just postulating that unless Randall was some kind of powerful magic user himself, I think the more likely scenario is there's got to be some kind of trigger, or he had a key of some type to bring the safe to the material plane so he could, use it.
Well, the
Yeah,
Mark
make
was
a-
he is
well.
an arcane practitioner, right?
Yeah, because that combined with the whole window situation on the west side looking east, there's definitely something up here.
No, I'm fixing the windows. Don't worry about it.
What are you doing right
Better
Maldor
look
now?
fixing the
something too.
windows.
Just feeling
Somewhere
like
along the
you
way, I managed to pick up a pipe, so I'm just smoking right now.
feel like you need
But
to
yeah,
destroy the walls. That's fine. That's fine. What is going on in
There's
here?
supposed to be windows here.
No.
But yeah, if I see
don't
nothing
hit
else,
the window, Maldor, please.
but I assume there's nothing else I pick up on with the sea invisibility through the rest of the floor.
No.
All right, then I'll drop sea invisibility and then switch out for also detect magic just to make things easier.
Okay, and then you said I probably wouldn't have cast that spell after touching it.
I'm saying
So
that
I
I'm saying that you would be. Your character is intelligent enough to know that even though it's being observed as invisible, it's not actually there.
Right.
So you're not.
Yeah.
You would dispel an object. Again, dispel magic is just dispelling an object, right? You have
Right.
to actually connect with that object to see that object. You have to reach that object. You can't reach that object. You can't see the object, which means the object is not there. So you would throw out a dispel magic if you felt like that's what you still wanted to do, but I think your character would hesitate at that point, feeling the fact that it's wooded nightstand and also
Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, I think that's what happened because I'm kind of not sure what we're doing at some points, so that's more of a me thing than someone that actually knows how.
Yeah, I'm giving you information based off your passives. I'm also giving you information to Zeph based off their passives. So that's all I'm doing.
And then upstairs is the part where the enchantment is, right? But the enchantment's not downstairs.
Correct. You do not detect any sort of ambiance or school of enchantment, school of illusionary magic. Up here, you detect that ambiance. You detect.
Yeah.
Essentially, Zeph, you pick up on the same thing that was being detected by Varus. You feel it all around the space. Essentially, the school of illusionary enchantment magic. You can't pinpoint a source to it as it's just spread throughout, creeped on the walls, it's creeped on the floor, it's throughout the room, the space of the air. So you're just feeling it all throughout.
Let's let's try the trick I was originally gonna try. I'll go on the upstairs wall and touch the wall, then try to dispel the enchantment.
Okay. You touch the wall itself. Do you cast a spell magic? As you do, nothing seems to happen.
And if I look at the window, it's still the same.
Correct. If it's closed, you know, you're looking at the western side in a way. If it's open, you're right. So you change the scope of what you're looking at. You're also changing the position of what you're looking at in real time. So depending if you go out.
Yeah.
Can I check out the mirror here? Just like check it front and back, see if there's any scratches or markings.
Okay. Tilting the mirror, looking around. You don't see anything. What you do see, though, is when you look in the reflections there, the mirror is superimposed. So if you take your hand and then you rotate it from a mirror, right, it actually is reflected in an odd way. So you're not getting a normal reflection. You're actually seeing yourself, which would be standard.
I guess I would ask Tegan if him or Zeph just detected magic in the cellar.
Zeph, do you relay what you found with the mirror?
I was about to, yeah. So yeah, there's something up with this mirror too. There's something up with everything around here.
You had the detect magic up on the mirror, right? But there wasn't anything coming off of the mirror?
Well, I looked at it for scratches. I didn't get anything. I
Okay.
don't know about that magic. I mean, did I get anything magical wise onto the mirror?
No, there's no specific magic comes off of the mirror.
So yeah, it's not magical as far as I can tell. It's still giving weird reflection.
Is it on the wall or is it like a standing mirror?
It's not on the
Looks
wall.
like it's
It's just a
very
standing mirror. It can be tilted and things. Just kind of placed there. The best way to describe this, if you don't know what I'm meaning about this, is that if you look in the mirror and you raise up your right hand, if you do that in real time, you can see that you're matching that in the mirrored perspective. This mirror is going to make it the opposite perspective.
So
it's like-
it's
So it's like
self-correcting.
flipped.
Yeah.
Well, normally,
What
if you look through a
what
mirror,
would
things
normally-
are mirrored, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This means that it's not mirrored.
So it's more akin to if you were looking at a person rather than a reflection, and you both did your right hand.
Okay.
I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch the reflection.
Okay.
Okay.
You touch it and you see that it's glass.
I pick it up and bring it in the other room and have it face safe.
Okay. You pick it up and move it to the other room, and you have a face towards the nightstand where you are now communicated for the rest of your party that there should be a safe there. At least you're seeing a safe through DC visibility. You don't see that anymore, Zeph. And you stretch through and you tilt it and you look, and you see a nightstand.
Ooh.
Okay, so we got for. There's got to be some. Obviously, there's a connection between the mirror now and the windows because both of those things are
When-
flipped from what they should be.
When he moved the mirror, was there anything behind the mirror? Like any?
Hmm.
Did we check all the side drawers and stuff to just see what's inside them? Or I can't remember if we did that or not.
Yeah, so there's no
I don't
drawers
think so.
per se. The nightstand has drawers, and you open them, they're empty. You don't find anything inside the drawers. In fact, the actual master suite is void of anything in the nightstand as well. The chest, again, is just sheets. There's nothing on the 3-tiered shelf within the master suite here. The mirror being moved, there's nothing behind the mirror. It's a standing mirror, so it's not actually mounted to the wall. The wardrobes have a mixture of clothes, robes and other things. You imagine silk, cotton, things that essentially a noble would wear, someone actually of a court perhaps. But you imagine 5 or 6 days. So there's not an entire wardrobe that's unpacked here. Essentially, maybe what can fit into a suitcase or a chest has been moved and placed in here. So it's very minor in possessions. There's no
What-
personal things at
What
all
if?
either.
What if we took this nightstand and just moved it?
Take the nightstand and move it. Okay, you move it.
And I'll like literally just I don't know, give it. I know I won't find anything, but I'll give it like a thorough like inside the drawers. Look at like flip it over, try to get underneath it, make sure there's no inscribing or anything like that.
Okay. You don't find anything. There's no scratches on the nightstand. There's not much. You see the actual wood flooring underneath, perhaps been scratched when this was placed in, or perhaps the bed or another furnishing, right? But beyond that, you don't see any sort of runes, glyphs, wards, any scratch marks of the actual wood itself of the nightstand underneath.
Is Marvin still here, right?
Marvin has just been watching and observing, letting you all go to work. Obviously, you're hired and put to the task for a reason, so they're just kind of curious about what you're doing, and they're kind of reasoning, going, coming with, and now hearing conversations of what you're saying. This chest is there, but not there, or so the safe is there, but it's not there, and just letting you all go through your own reasonings and your own information.
I would just turn around and ask him if he has any ideas of what's going on here.
Well, I'd have my own speculations, I suppose, but you all seem to be doing a decent job. You found far more than Ringler Uku has found, and I probably wouldn't have found that, so that's nice.
Okay. What? How about this? Because the windows on the west side look east. Can someone? I know thinking you were out there earlier, but would someone be able to go out there again? And would I be able to see them out the windows if they're on the east side, outside?
Yeah, we have to send somebody, so I'll go outside and look up at the window, where the window would be according to this.
Okay, so you go outside and you see that the window itself is right on facing towards the east, right when on the outside. So on the outside, you're looking up to where you imagine to be. So the window itself, as someone comes to the window and looks out the window, you can see them at the top left window. So if we actually put it in scale of where this actual window should be, the window should be roughly over here,
That's
the actual
weird.
second floor.
So up there, but we're
I guess
over
before we-
here.
Before
But
we
you
go,
on
we
the
need
but you on the inside cannot see them because the window is shut. So if you're looking out this window over here, so I'll go ahead and draw. So if you're looking out this window here, you actually see the western side of the building, and you see the street out in front of the building with the double door. You can actually look down and probably see the guard down there. But you can't see them.
So
I would,
So what I'm gathering is essentially the inside is rotated counterclockwise 90 degrees roughly.
Make an intelligence check.
Well, if
Yeah.
one of you
Guide
can see the
yourself.
other, but
brother.
then
Yeah,
it's
would
not,
this
'cause
be
only
something I
one of
could
you can
guidance
see.
myself for?
Probably not. I'm not gonna let you guidance this because it's not like you're making this. Is just kind of I'm just seeing what your brain would go do.
Really?
5, rotate 90 degrees. Yeah, that seems about right. When you open this window that's there, if you open the window, you can see them. You see the backside of the building.
So he sees
Throw
me
some-
when he opens up the window.
Throw something at him.
Don't throw anything at me.
Not there to argue, bud.
So
Weird question.
it's not necessarily that anything's being broken per se. Not that when you open the window, it just changes the perspective.
Confused.
Can I?
I'm so lost. I mean, not lost as in like I don't know what's going on. It's just that I have no clue what to do.
Okay. Weird question. Can you guys hear me? Good.
Yeah.
Can I go downstairs and turn the statue? Turn it the other way, facing the other direction.
Okay, you go downstairs and turn the statue facing the other direction.
Does anything happen upstairs that they can see?
No.
And I'll
Have we
I
looked
assume-
underneath the statue, like at the bottom of it?
I did.
I got.
move it
I got to
earlier.
turn off my. I got to turn off my camera here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm in the master bedroom, so we're sharing
But,
space.
Yeah,
I'll-
Baldur, can you
I'll-
pick this up and like lay it on its side?
What am I picking up?
The statue
statue.
downstairs.
Oh, well, 1 second.
And I'll also ask Varus, since he's way smarter than I am. I'll toss my little theory about the whole
Well, let's
inside being
let,
rotated.
let me do this thing downstairs, then I'll come up and meet you for that.
You want it on its side?
Yeah, lay it down on its like face or its side, just so I can look at the bottom of it.
Just kick it over.
Don't do. You're gonna ruin this house.
He's already
He's
hacking
already
holes in the
broken the
wall.
walls down.
He's-
Yeah.
I ripped out
Wait,
half the
what
upstairs
did you-
wall.
What?
Oh, that's right. You were gone. So Maldor recognized that there was missing windows, so he started bashing the wall in to try and see if there was windows on that side.
That is how a fighter would figure this problem out. I must admit that is pretty good. So yeah,
Okay.
I guess you
So do you
did
want
you
me
kick
to
it over?
strength or attack? Or yeah, he's just gonna kick the statue over, or trying to.
Okay, so I think with your strength, it'll need a check. Obviously, you can also get some help too from Lucar and kind of taking the statue and moving it over. It's an unfinished statue. It's roughly 7 or so feet in height. It's pretty heavy, right? But it's not difficult to get the leverage that you need. Put the torque on it. It's going to topple down on its own. You just got to give it a good shove towards the top end, and so you do that, and you're able to have the statue crash down. It's going to actually smash into the wooden planks, kind of break the actual flooring a little bit and kind of sink into the stone foundation very loosely there. So now you can see underneath, it's the piece of stone that it started with. So the original piece of stone, it's roughly crudely chiseled on the outer layer of the statue. And then you begin to look underneath the statue, trying to see if there's anything inscribed into the stonework, anything on the flooring. You're maybe even moving the planks that are now kind of crushed from the statue as it's been placed there, seeing if there's anything on the stone foundation, and you don't see anything.
Okay. What did
Alright,
you want me to look at, Zuff?
Just nothing. Not look at necessarily. Just I was going to pass my little thought about the inside of the top floor being rotated versus the outside. If that made any kind of sense to you.
Would you like? Can I roll an intelligence check to check his theory?
Roll an intelligence check. I mean, obviously, Zeph is relaying 90 degrees, so roll intelligence.
180 degrees probably would be more accurate, but
Varus, rotating 90 degrees is not accurate in what is happening. This is essentially the second floor is flipped or mirrored on some sort of axis.
Have I ever heard of a spell like this before?
Roll Arcana. 16, not particularly a spell per se. Magic of this sort is not something that you've commonly heard of being used. Could be some sort of ward or rune or a glyph that's attached to the house, some part of the house, some position of the house, to attempt to hide something and conceal something within an ethereal pocket space.
Which we saw was a safe.
That's something in the space.
Right.
Correct.
This is so cool. Okay.
So you told
Would
us
I-
that the
well,
mirror was.
I
about-
would have to find a like a glyph or an inscription to dispel the enchantment, right?
well, what about
Is
taking
that
a walk
something
through the
is that something
basement?
Varus would know?
I would say that this could be some source of the magic, a rune, glyph, or ward, must be attached to an object. It can't just be something that is loosely hanging in the air. So
Right.
the only object that's big enough perhaps to do this would be essentially maybe something within one of the furnishings. It could be something in the flooring. It could be something in the wall. So that would be the only thing that could be big enough to put a rune, glyph, or ward and power something in this magnitude. Essentially, create a house of holding. That's really what it is. What I would say, Beldor, you're talking about the mirror, right? So the mirror itself is self-correcting, right? So when you look through a mirror, okay, so if you go into your bathroom and you look through things that are there, if I decide to write something on, okay, and then I look through a mirror, I don't actually see the writing as is. I have it flipped. Oh, but that's not the case here. So the mirror is showing that there is it's correcting the actual space.
So basically, it's included with the space upstairs. It's not doing something different.
So the mirror, I'm going to repeat it again. The mirror is correcting the mirror.
It's reversing the reverse.
It's reversing the reverse.
Yeah. I'm getting the impression that the mirror, there's probably nothing special about the mirror itself.
No.
It's more of a symptom.
It's a symptom
Yeah,
of the
that's
spell.
what I was getting
That's
at.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a symptom of the spell, but it's essentially its function is being manipulated and changed by the same spell that seems to be changing the windows and other facets of the room.
Can I real quick? I don't think it's been a while, so I don't think there's gonna be anything down there. But can I do a quick walk through the basement now that I have detect magic up?
Through the cellar. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going in through the
I'll
cellar.
go with you then.
Lost. Oh no, we've lost Tegan.
Keep losing people.
Well, yeah, we can drop him. Drop him.
Discord, man.
Okay, so you pass
Drop 'em like
into
flies.
the cellar using detect magic. You don't detect any magic at the cellar. You detect magic, obviously pinpointing the illusionary magic, and there is a large spot of illusionary magic inside of the kitchen, which is just to the offset left of the oven, and the corner, which is southwest. And upon looking at that and putting your hand down, you're actually finding that there's dried blood pooled in the actual kitchen. So there's large amounts of dried blood in the kitchen space that's been illusionary magic to hide it and conceal it from being found. You pass into the cellar now after finding that particular facet of information, and you use your take magic in the cellar, and you don't detect any magic in the cellar at all. Nothing in this space.
So we need.
So I don't think Maldor is smart enough to figure this out, but out of character, if we're figuring out this whole top room is flipped, I assume we've sort of established that it's flipped on a north-south axis because the windows that should be up here are down here.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's
It's
not
180.
just flipped off of north and south. If I
also
draw
reversed.
with the pencil tool, then whatever axis is splitting it, so the window's going up there.
Oh, I see. But it's not a straight line; it's an angle.
Correct. So if there whatever, you're on the right track here. So if there's something that is powering it, then most likely it sits on the axis of
See, if it's powering it and sits on the axis, that would be in the floor?
Probably because it
in
would
the
have
floor,
to. It's
in the wall.
way. I mean, if it's. I don't know much about
At this
arcane
point, I'm
magic,
like
but I would.
Maldor's.
I would have to imagine it would have, like you were basically getting at, that it would have to be in the middle of this. I would
That's
think.
what I'm thinking.
So, and maybe it may not even be on the top floor itself. Maybe it's at the, I don't know, the ceiling of the bottom floor.
Deegan, I've seen you gone into the bathroom with your token. What are you doing in the bathroom?
Yeah, shit.
Just looking at the walls, doing a general just sweep.
All right, you can make investigation or perception check, please.
Hopefully not licking the ground like Varys was.
In the bathroom. It
You know there's
stinks.
some
smells
crust
so
pee on the
good.
floor.
Oh.
I'm gonna bark inspiration myself.
All right, conspiration call.
Before you lick the floor.
before you lick the
This
floor.
is this is
On
to
that
not get
note,
any
I'm gonna
diseases
order
from the
lunch.
floor lick.
Before you lick the floor. Bardic inspiration called by Tian on themselves. Rolling die. All right. Go ahead and roll your bardic inspiration die manually, please.
Is that a D8 at this point?
Yeah, it's a D8.
Yep.
Oh, now you put it on. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Everything's lagging. Oh, it's coming through now. 15. Okay. So making a perception check of 15 as you look through, that actually is going to meet your passive perception, which is slightly higher than the actual party. 15 is enough with your passive perception. Unfortunately, Thanos is not actually here. So if Thanos was here, this actually would have been a lot easier to resolve. But
That
Tegan, this
was
is the
my
first,
fear of
Tegan,
leaving
this is
him
the
here.
first time you've actually been in this bathroom. So with your passive perception, even though you rolled, I wanted to see if you'd roll or not. With a 15-15, regardless of what you rolled or not, because they're both the same with your passive, you see passively that the wood itself upon this particular wall is far new in comparison to the other walls, suggesting that the actual the way that it's sheeted inside, it's not drywall, right? So these are stacks of wooden planks that kind of run along, and they are essentially maybe either forming a wall framed, or they're with a stone solid in between them, right? Because you have brick stone that runs through the building. The wood itself is maybe just an accent to it. The wood that's planked here, not only is it new, but some of the fasteners of the nails and other things that are used inside to mount it to the object are different than the rest of the walls. Essentially, they're not really, the same size of the nail. They're maybe larger. They're also made of a different material, right? So maybe one is iron. This is like steel, so maybe it's bigger and more hardy things of the material. So you notice that right off the bat with your passive, and then you check, and so you kind of say, okay, that does not look, and it's the same stain, right? It's the same finish of the wood. So someone has taken great steps to attempt to conceal or hide it. But the small little details of perhaps that this is new compared to the others, and then you have the difference of fastener, catches your eye.
Maldor, we're gonna need some more renovations in here.
Oh, now you want me to smash a wall? It was dumb.
Yeah,
I
we
never
always-
told you to stop.
I mean, we
I
always
was-
want you to smash a wall.
I was just scared of the consequences, but go ahead, smash the wall. I don't care anymore.
The ship's already fucking.
I'm
sailed by now.
so fucking confused. So
So as you found it, and before we go in through the destruction of the wall, we're going to go ahead and take our break. So we'll go ahead and take our 10-minute break right now, so that way my wife can do whatever they're going to do in the room, because apparently they need the room for a little bit. So I'll make sure you the camera
I
on
was
color.
actually
It's a
going
good
to
time for a
ask
break
if
anyway.
Daph to call Thanos in and see if he could find anything.
Thanos!
I was waiting for the sending.
Hilarious.
I was literally
Yeah.
waiting
It's like-
for it.
I was like, Seth, you want to send Sandos to summoning and see if we can find anything? But yeah, that's funny.
All right, so
I
we'll be taking
mean-
a 10-minute break. We'll come back. If you're watching the stream, thanks so much. We'll be back for 10 minutes or so 1:16 p.m. PST. So anyways, we'll see you back.
Later, guys.
Uh,
All right, welcome back. If you joined us from the break, appreciate it. Getting back in the second half here. So we're going to get started real quick here. Mulder, you are pointed out to by Tegan, and essentially to do some renovations. So go ahead and cue whatever home transformation TV show that's on reality, AGTV, and then get to work here. So you're going through swinging your weapons, not primarily because you're maybe not sure, right? So you're maybe pulling apart the wooden planks. You're just kind of using your strength and your skills here to kind of pull and see. And very comes quickly that after you pull one of the planks off, which is actually not very well embedded into, that the fasteners need to be this way as there is a thick metal plate that separates the wall segment between the bathrooms. And the metal plate itself is of a blackish metal and seems to have a weld. So it's welded in a rune pattern of a kaleidoscope-like method. And as far as staring at it, Varys, and things you're just kind of looking, it definitely seems related to the schools of magic that you detected. And then there's also an association of magic. And the reason why your detect magic did not perceive this specific source is it's actually covered by the thickness of material is enough. The thickness of material is enough that your detect magic could not actually go through it. So the wooden planks are thick enough, the fasteners themselves are thick enough that you couldn't detect the magic from under behind it. So that kind of goes into the rules there. So you eventually pull them out. Now you're just left with this kind of metal plate that's there. The metal plate is anchored into the stone foundation of a pillar that sits inside of the wooden floor and then goes into the wooden rafters of the second floor. And it's a sheet metal type consistency, so it's not entirely heavy, but it's thick enough that the fasteners had difficulty poking through. And you'd imagine that on the other side, the plate is only facing this way, and that you might have a stone piece that goes behind this as well, and that you're kind of feeling your fingers and your thumbs and whatnot. The actual radius of this is exactly as the wall segment. So the wall itself is roughly 10 feet from here from north to south. The radius of this is matching. So this entire thing, it's just massive. And the height of the ceiling here is roughly 9 feet, and it goes to that as well. So it's just a big old circular kaleidoscope rune that's there. And for you...
so it's a rune, you said.
It's like a rune that's been welded on to a piece of metal. And so whatever this is...
That would be like me knowing about the arcane. That would be the thing you would want to dispel.
Exactly. So this stands out to you as the source, and the particular metal that's used is important. Particularly the way that it's melded. If they use any dust or anything into the magical welds, right, to make this enchantment, make this illusion, right, whatever it is to make that is important. So this is the object that would need to be dispelled.
Yep, and I will dispel that.
Okay. Please make a check.
What would that be?
Spell casting ability, please. So intelligence check.
Okay. I will chrono shift that.
Okay.
Please. Better.
14. You are not successful in dispelling the magic. Seems as though when you look back, you see the nightstand still there. The welds are perfectly intact. Nothing has changed upon the rune. And you feel as though you were not successful based on the observations that are around you.
Alright, guys, this is a problem. I can't do that again. So...
Well, we can always
hit it
really, really hard.
I would just have to take a couple minutes to recharge it. And then...
Tegan's just gonna walk up, place his hand on it, and dispel magic.
Okay.
Before he's gonna bardic inspiration himself.
You told me you had that, and you didn't give it to me?
Saving it for themselves, apparently.
For this, yeah. Selfish. No, I'm kidding.
Just cast it at 6th level. It's fine.
So you can use it for ability checks, attack rolls, saving throws. Technically, this is an ability check, so it should still pass through when you make the intelligence check.
Wait, is it an intelligence check or your spellcasting modifier?
It would be charisma for you, right?
It's going to be, well, it's intelligence check for Varys, but it's going to be whatever spellcasting ability you have associated with it. That's how the spell magic
It would
is.
be a charisma check.
Correct.
Yep. Nice.
Hey, there we go.
Hey.
You didn't even really need to have the bardic inspiration, but you could tack it on if you really want to. It's your choice.
That's okay.
Okay, we'll leave it on. Okay, so 24 is what you get as you can begin to cast detect magic. Immediately, the kaleidoscope, the welds themselves actually begin to change as far as the alchemy and metallurgy. So faces that would be propped up from the welds, they now sink, and then other faces come outwards. So it actually begins to rearrange itself. And as that happens, you are standing in a shift within. So remember, we talked about, and as far as the map's not going to change, just FYI, as far as your perspective of what you're looking at the VTT. But the axis is flipping. So now the complete rooms and some of the furnishings crash into the walls. Like they're split in the wall segments, and things are just like absolute topsy-turvy. It makes no sense. Some of you, while this is happening, you actually have to move your tokens out of the way because the walls are like rearranging themselves to accommodate the fact that the axis has been flipped. The one room that doesn't really change in relative positioning on the axis is the room that you're currently in the bedroom. The bathroom itself is really just gonna kind of be the same, and the bedroom's gonna kind of be the same because they actually exist within the central point of the axis. They're not gonna change too much. When it happens, right, when the walls are shaved, you might have to walk and you're kind of shifting yourself, and the doors themselves, right, and things. When this all happens, the chest actually, the nightstand's been moved. Zeph, I have to ask you, did you put the nightstand back?
No.
Okay, so you haven't put the nightstand back. Okay, so the chest, it's just there now, right? As soon as everything shifts, the actual safe there, is there. The safe is, again, slightly tall. It's roughly 4.5 to 5 feet tall, so it's larger than the actual nightstand. It's a little bit wide, but it's more narrowly placed, so it's kind of a narrow rectangle. And again, it's made of the kind of a darker steel to it, and it has the tumbler cut mechanism in there. So potentially someone has to lockpick this or figure out how to open the safe. If the nightstand was there, it literally would have imploded. So it would have just exploded outwards as the space is being occupied by two things, and the obviously higher mast and heavier object would have won.
That's crazy.
So as this happens, you're kind of like in the whole topsy-turvy things. The windows at this point like shatter because the windows are flipped onto the other spaces, and they're not actually accommodating it. And so the whole house seems to be very elaborately designed just on the second floor. Right, so this is only happening on the second floor. If you're down the first floor, or you look down there, nothing's changed. So it's all kind of the same. So it's just the way the walls work and some of the furnishings in here. And it's and from what you can understand, just vaguely, is that you actually were in some sort of mirrored pocket space, which has now corrected itself, and you are now in this plane on this space. Does this make sense?
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. And the safe comes along with it because it's been dispelled. So the safe is now here. It's transposed onto this plane. So as you see, it's just kind of there. As Marvin's like pulling on to the walls. What in the fuck? That was crazy. It's a random character.
Hey, Marvin,
Oh, yes.
are you good with lockpicks?
Oh, of course I am.
You want to open up that
about-
safe?
I suppose.
What about Thanos?
Well, he's not here.
I think maybe we need to
He's trying to
discuss-
start a small business. Leave him alone.
I think we...
This would probably... I'm going to telepathically talk to Zeph and have him call Thanos here. Be like, hey, probably get Thanos in this house. It'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah, I haven't used any third level spells, so I'll send it to Thanos that some interesting developments at the Reynolds residence. Might be, I know you're busy, but it might be prudent to hop on over here for a bit.
Always so long-winded.
Ting, ting.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And then you just hear the ticking stop. Okay. And I'll just head there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you get that there. All right. So as you send out the sending, Marvin continues the conversation. this is where we might need to agree. This is a safe, and if it's a safe, well, perhaps there's going to be coin or objects in the safe. I imagine that you all are quite curious to find out what is inside, but if we do find something of significant value, how are we going to distribute this?
Oh yeah, we'll be more than happy to take it all.
But that's not the answer I was looking
Listen.
for, but hey, at least you gave an answer. I was more on the lines of, do we take it or do we not? Do we split 50-50? I mean, I don't know how you all want to go about.
I
Obviously,
don't.
this is
I
Randall's
don't know
possessions.
why we would. I don't know why we would split anything.
You don't believe me of great service
Zeph,
and
what
value
was in
after
your Cheerios this
opening
morning?
the safe?
Holy shit.
I'm
I'm
I,
just wondering.
do you believe you could open the safe without me? That's fine. Go ahead and try. Grabs out a pipe, begins to pack
Turns
it.
out Zeph is just
The greediest. We have the
called it-
greediest
we
cleric in
called in our
Arturia.
man.
Go ahead.
wait.
Go-
Listen,
More-
listen.
Have you ever cracked a
Golden
safe
Earth,
before?
Me, no, but we have
Oh.
a friend on the way.
Oh, so your friend has been able to crack safe.
We'll see if
I
he
don't
can.
know specifically. I
Okay.
haven't asked him.
Was this the same friend
What
that?
would you want?
Oh yes, I remember now. It's Ruvok was telling me.
What would you want out of the safe? Would
What
you
do
want
I-
half?
I do not know what is in safe. That's why we're having conversation. If there is something we find in safe that has value and perhaps we can distribute, are we going to go 50-50 on this? You take 50, I take 50. Or is this going to be I take all and you crack the safe and you get nothing from it? This is the time that we make an arrangement, yes? I thought you
I'll
all
say
were
this,
professionals.
I don't think we have any use for any loose coin in there. So any loose coin you could probably just have. I feel like.
No, we
Loose
want
coin
that
I can
coin.
have. I
What
like
do you
this.
mean?
This one. Yes, your name?
No, he is not the leader. We are
My
not
name's
making
Tom.
that arrangement.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
His
you as
name-
well.
His name is
Tom.
Tom's wheeling and dealing.
Tom.
But-
I mean, we could just tell him that he can have whatever he wants and then kill him afterwards. It's fine.
Are you saying
He's
this
saying
out
this
loud?
straight
What's wrong with you?
I think it would only
Find out what the
depend-
inside of the safe looks like. Find out what the inside of Martin looks like.
I would
I
most
think it would
likely
honestly
say
de-
that you have a difficult time trying to kill me, friend. But that is fine if you want to take a swing.
I think it would depend more on the condition of Randall, because if he's still perfectly alive somewhere, then coin and such still belongs to him.
that's what I essentially saying. I mean, this is my proposal. I mean, I don't know if any of you are wanting to steal the coin out of someone else's safe or not. Or just assuming that hey, Randall,
I
hey, they're
wasn't
not going to come
planning
back for
on
the
it. I
coin.
was- Yeah, I wasn't planning on it. I
Anything
just want to
that's,
know what's in there.
Yeah,
Anything
anything
that's
case
relevant to
relevant
the
would definitely.
investigation.
Sorry, Tom is speaking. What?
Anything that's anything that's relevant to the investigation, I think we can divvy up at the end to see where we go. If we're looking to continue together.
And then coin splitting or just keeping within the safe for
Or
Randall.
leaving. Yeah.
Leaving coin. Okay, this is good.
Nobody goes to this much trouble to hide coin.
Well,
The level of effort we had to go through to get this stupid thing.
you'd be surprised. You probably couldn't find my coin even if you had tried. So let's just keep it at that. Anyways,
What you call your coin is probably in someone else's pockets.
side sips and looks. All right, that's me.
I spit on you.
I don't think that would be very good if you did that to Maldor. I don't think we'd be able to hold him back.
But yeah,
Maldor
still
is
waiting.
not in the mood, dude. Is
But yeah,
pretty
we're just waiting for Thanos, I guess.
So
crack.
Thanos is going to take a little while. Thanos is going to cross.
Well,
all
he's
the way to the
cracked.
Wilderness District.
I trust him more to try and crack it open than this guy. That
Well,
we
Marvin
don't
just
know.
smoked the pipe and still smoking the pipe. Sidestep after
Yeah.
you've made the arrangement. Hasn't really, shook on it with Tom a little bit there. Is now working on the safe. So
It can't take Thanos that long, isn't he Batman now?
pulls out.
Oh yeah,
It's not
he
dark
could
out.
turn into
It's
a
like the
bat.
middle of the day.
Well, I don't know. It did take me
Thanos,
like 14
Thanos, hold on,
hours
hold on.
to figure it
Thanos
out.
is like, I am the knight. Cracks the cloak over and gets to fly like a bat. You see one of the guards of the towers. Fire!
I mean, it's 5 p.m. in winter. Isn't that nighttime?
It is so good.
Shoot her! Shoot her!
To be fair,
Honestly,
If I'm
I think
gonna
it
fly
took
over
us
there, I
so
would probably
long.
feel bad.
Yeah. It took us so long to figure this out. He probably finished the armor and
Wouldn't
has
he
made
go-
three more pieces at this point. Like,
Yeah, wouldn't he go invisible though if it's nighttime?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He's
he'd
at-
just be in the night.
invisible that.
Invisible.
He's at the bank right now looking into a property loan.
Okay, so it's gonna take you. So obviously you've been, but you just did the sending. Okay, so it's gonna take 20
No,
or so
yeah,
minutes
I'm
for Thanos to
joking.
actually get here. But even if you run, I don't think Thanos is running though. Are you?
No, Thanos
you're
is
just-
not a runner.
you're not
He's just
running,
nonchalant.
you're just
not a
like-
runner.
Why
He's
you
not
doing
a runner.
this? All right.
Folding up his tools.
Hey,
So
there's
Marvin
the
is a-
homeless guy Varys was talking to.
So Marvin has agreed to the arrangement. Essentially, Sidestep has rolled a 37 on the Thief's tools here. So it moves over and begins to thumb through the safe and has a different mix of tools and splitting the ear and slightly going. And actually only takes him roughly 3 minutes to crack the safe. And upon doing that, turns it, swings it open. Wow! Cracking
Thank you.
safe. So more than welcome. Go take a look. He kind of sidesteps. Oh, get out of the way. Go take a look. What do you see?
Okay, I'll look in the safe.
In the safe, you see that the safe has 3 different shelves upon it. They're covered in a black velvet, and inside you see on the top appears to be a leather-bound book of brown and black leather that's kind of small, like a journal of some kind or a ledger. And then you can see that on the center shelf is a literal twig that's roughly about 1.5 feet. It's made of kind of has black bark that surrounds it. And then on the last shelf that's at the bottom is this chest of blackish wood with metal etching. And then you kind of move it and kind of open it on like a lockbox of some kind. Inside is neatly stacked 400 platinum coins.
That's a lot of
Platinum.
money.
Is any of this coming off as magical?
So as detect magic
Yeah,
is
that's what I was
cast,
about to
you
ask.
can sense that there is necromantic magic coming from the stick. Sees Marvin's looking down at the coin. Oh, that is disappointing. That's a lot of coin. That's fine.
I'll pick up the stick and identify it.
Okay. So are you ritualizing it or are you casting
Yeah.
it outright?
Well,
And
I don't
we
think I
got some
have
time.
it prepared actually. So yeah, I'll
Okay.
have to, I'll have
Yeah,
to
what
ritualize
wizard
it.
has it prepared? Take out.
I don't.
Maybe a wizard that wants to get the notification out. I don't know. So okay.
Rapid
Ritualize
fire
casting,
identification.
identification, taking your time with that 10 minutes. Okay. So you go to do that. Anybody else?
I'll check out the book.
Okay, you look at the book. It seems to be a journal or ledger, which is actually in the handwriting of one individual. Given by this, it's very similar to someone that would essentially keep track of their day-to-day, right? They're almost like, oh, I have a meeting here, or I have to do this here. And most of the actual ledger predates essentially the People's Palace and working on different courts and offices that they have arrangements and meetings. And they primarily go all the way to, right, we talked about the timeline, to 3 weeks or so ago, and then all of a sudden it changes. And it's like court with Lord Thalon Falor. It does not state why there is court. It's simply just what they're doing. And it seems that they were going to court with Lord Thalon Falor roughly 2 times a week or so. So maybe 4 different individualized meetings that they've had. And then in addition to that, it also has a few, only maybe 2 or 3 actual meetings with Freemar in the actual Commoners Guild. And it kind of says furnishings like a couch, right? Gonna go pick up a couch or work on getting this. And then, renovations, like can I hire a crew through the Commoners, thing like that. So that's in there. And then after those things, now there's like a subnote, footnotes, and essentially gold price or pieces. Like it would take this much time and this much gold to do this. And based on the ledger, it looks like they had noted they would be here for a period and they wanted to actually demolish this building and essentially make a manor of some kind and purchase the property nearby, protrude outwards into the street, so actually kind of encroach on other people's property outside, suggesting that this individual had a lot of gold. They're flaunting thousands and thousands of pieces in some of these quotes.
What is the last entry in the book?
So there's no entry as in terms of where did they go last, So the last entry that they have would be at court with Lord Downfalor, and that would be at some point. I mean, right now, as far as the calendar goes, it's a little redundant to state the exact time and days. So six days ago that they have gone missing, and that obviously you don't see anything in here 6 days or noted as far as the dates and times.
Right.
And so you're kind of counting back and looking at the last thing. So roughly 8 days to 9 days ago, they had court with Lord Downfalor.
Well,
I feel like if we want, yeah, I'll keep that to myself for now because I don't think it's gonna actually do any good to say because it's kind of pointless.
This lord was in league with this person who's gone missing, who seems to have been hiding some necromantic artifact, and told us nothing of any of this. I greatly dislike being someone's puppet. I would like to have words with this lord.
Words or actions?
Start at one.
Because I don't mind if you chew his ass, but don't attack him or anything.
Did you just assume Maldor's kink?
don't teach him Maldor.
No, that's the echo.
That's Maldor the Third's kink.
Oh God.
I believe the Lord to be someone that is quite honest and truthful, but they are someone that will navigate to always continue their agendas. It might just be worth asking them this information, and they might just tell you the truth. It is very difficult for a paladin that is loyal to Pelor to lie. It's not something that they find easy to do.
So they'll just exclude information, but they won't lie to you directly.
That is correct.
Fucking semantics.
I mean, to be fair, I do that a lot.
This is the price of being a lord, perhaps.
You don't profess to be a holy person either.
Well, remember that a lord does not need to be holy. So perhaps this is just a price to be paid by being in a position as such.
Yeah. Anyway, did my stick finish identifying?
So as you run through the identification of it, you see that this is a piece to a whole. This is a fragment of perhaps what is actually the rest of it. So the identification is only going to tell you very loosely that it has necromantic properties that relate to some manifestation of resurrection and raising dead. Beyond that,
I'll turn
We're not.
to Marvin and say, so it looks like this has to do with something as
I
far
need
as
you to make a
raising
wisdom saving throw now.
You done fucked up, Aaron.
Oh, nice.
Natural 20. So as you begin to use identification upon, there's tendrils of necrosis that begins to sprout from the stick, cresting through your hand as your veins inside of your face and your forearms, as well as your chest, begin to sprout with tendrils of necrosis. A voice penetrates within your mind. You best be given that and let it go. As it speaks outwards, you begin to resist the necrosis as it retracts back into the stick and the voice departs.
Yeah, I think I'd just drop it on the ground. What the fuck?
How to the touch?
Necrosis to the touch? There was a voice in it.
That's never good.
Fucking everything we touch has voices in it.
I was gonna say, he's not wrong.
Yeah. We've never heard that voice before? I didn't sound familiar?
No, you never heard that before.
Well,
Okay. No one touched that.
how about we just put it back in the safe, close the safe, put it on the disc, and just take it to the Lord's Manor?
Be my guest. Touch that stick. Why would you do that? Why?
I'll just mage hand it and put it back in the safe.
Okay, do that then.
Mage handing and putting it back into the safe.
Oh God. What's that? So, I got the idea that it was used to raise the dead, and then it attacked me, basically. Or it had some kind of like latent thing to protect itself.
Did it seem like it was trying to hurt you or trying to control you?
Do I get an idea of that from?
No, you wouldn't know that because you saved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it! Why didn't you fail so we could learn more information?
I think I'm pretty glad I didn't
If I
fail.
had to get honest, if I had to guess, literally just guessing, it's probably more just a defense mechanism. Like, hey, don't touch me. Here's damage.
Isn't Zeph like a death cleric?
I was Twilight Cleric.
I guess that's one way of putting it.
Because they're like adjacent. They're
Do
not
you
quite
know?
the same thing.
Do you know anything about that? Would you know anything about?
I have
like-
a good deal about of well, not experience, I suppose, but like I've been taught a good number of things about undead.
Okay.
Look at it. Does it look like anything you've
should-
heard about in Legends or anything? It seems like a pretty powerful artifact if this guy was...
Well,
looking
I
for
was
it.
actually going to comment on that very thing about, here's yeah, that you said it was just a piece of a greater whole that possibly has something to do with raising dead people or something like that. And we're not far from what's the name of that stupid city?
The Unveiling City or the Unveiling Woods with the next
Marshes
to
of Unveiling.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Fort Farron is what I was thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Where there's the whole horde of undead and stuff.
So
There's gotta
can
be
we?
connection.
Should we? So this is my question to everybody: should we take the safe with all of its contents in it to the Lord, or
Well, man, we probably don't need to literally take the entire safe, but definitely
mean,
the
I would.
contents.
Why
I don't
not?
want to touch anything in it anymore?
I mean, I think other than the gold, platinum, we've already touched everything in here.
Can
So
we...
we don't. So we
Hold
don't
on.
need to take the safe to the Lord.
I have an idea.
Well, I mean, we could probably take a closer look inside and make sure there's no a secret compartment within the already hidden safe. But
Yeah. Would Thanos
Seems
have
like a
trouble
hat on a
finding-
hat.
true.
Thanos, at this
But
point,
I'm
you have
with it.
arrived.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take a look though, see if there's any secret plating in the already secret safe.
You're going to look for investigation or perception. Then that would be the check.
I mean, if it wouldn't give it a chance, I'll always try doing perception.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how you're going about it. You're looking for clues, or you're just
Yeah.
looking with your eyes and senses, or it's just
Yeah,
two
'cause I don't
two
trust my
different, two different
investigation.
outlooks. It's two different looks upon the same.
Yeah.
thing. That's all it is.
Yeah, but I'll try perceiving what I can,
Okay.
guiding myself.
Okay.
Man, I keep rolling so low.
12. So you're beginning to look. You peel back the velvet of it, the actual the felt kind of thing in there, and then it's just a lining that's kind of there, loosely stuck on, and you're seeing the same kaleidoscope rune imprinted and welded onto the actual inner part of the safe, which might link it to transpose into the place. But beyond that, you do not find any loose paneling or anything that would be a secret spot. In fact, you can lift the chest if your strength is large enough, it moves. And given the fact that the lower shelf is directly at the bottom of the safe, there's no actual room to have a false bottom.
I think we should keep the wand with us because it seems like the most valuable thing in this chest, besides the ledger, of course. But do we have anything to transport it in?
Maybe we have a bag
Just
of
toss in
holding.
a bag of holding. Yeah, we got
Toss
two
it.
of them.
Yeah, you can toss it in the bag of holding. You have little chests that are here that are empty. You can also try to wrap it up, pull a little Gandalf. Keep it tight. Wrap it up.
I mean, I'm honestly kind of do both. Like wrap it up real good, then toss in a bag of holding. Because at
fine.
some point we'll have to remove it from a bag of holding anyway.
Okay.
And if we can do that without actually touching it, also.
Very ideal. Don't touch that.
Okay, sounds good. Thanos, you're on scene now. You see Marvin that's there, and you see that they're wrapping up, putting things in bag of holdings. There's a safe that's here. Everything is just completely awkward. You're coming up. The walls are in objects, the furnishings, things are splintered apart, crashed. There's windows that are shattered. It's just not great up here. So you're coming up, looking around, and eventually hear the voices. You come in, you see what they're doing.
What did y'all do? Who is this?
We read them already.
I'm Marvin.
That is the thief who shits.
And I'm Tom.
The thief who has not ever yet wiped his ass.
No.
Here, I'll take care of that for
That's-
you, and I'll press the digitation.
That is a little
Consent.
violation, but it's very inappropriate.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'm going to trust that you guys have a way to clean all of this up, but why are you so
No,
afraid of
I'm not cleaning any of this shit
a
up.
stick?
So when I touched the stick, necrosis crawled up into my hand and almost into my face, and I resisted it, and it went back into the stick. Is that what happened? Do I understand that correctly?
That's something that you can make that speculation. Sure.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just asking. Like, is that what?
Yeah,
I guess I'm.
You're going off of how I described it. I can't
Yeah.
tell you what it is. I
Right,
can
right.
just describe it to you, and then you can speculate from it.
Okay. Yeah. That stick will fuck you up.
Would you prefer it in my bag of holding? I am resistant to necrosis.
I mean,
in a way.
I was going to ask because we have two, so it doesn't. I don't think it really matters which one, but
Just offering to hold it if.
Right. Well, I think
I'll head back downstairs to see if any of the illusions cut off down there.
Okay.
oh,
Yeah, so you pass downstairs, and that's something, Thanos, you had observed, that the illusions themselves have ended. So whatever the illusions, they were being empowered from the source of this, which is rather odd that they'd be used to empower that, which is essentially hiding the damage. The glass coffee table in the sunken den completely smashed, destroyed. You see that the armchair scratched, some of the railings of the stairs scratched and broken off. One of the chairs is missing a leg, and then the large pool of blood that's dried in the kitchen is enough that would bleed a humanoid body out. Not nearly completely, but enough to be mortal. And the fireplace itself has subsided, so there's no light, and there's no roaring fire. There's nothing coming from it. It's just soot and charcoal at the base of the stone.
So who did you guys kill downstairs, by the way?
For
Yeah,
once, it
already
wasn't
there.
us.
Yeah, wasn't us.
we swear.
I suspect that
Aldor-
belongs to the person who
There-
went missing.
Is there anything that like leads to an escape? Like now that everything's uncovered, does it look like blood dragged out of a door or anything
No.
like that?
Nope.
So, mystery solved. He was in cahoots with the Lord and got murdered for whatever the fuck he was up to. I say we
Yeah.
go collect payment.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I don't know what else we can do. Based off of what
Hmm.
we know, the Lord will have to tell us more.
Well, what about this? Because like we know he was meeting with these other people to have furniture made and stuff like that. Maybe that wasn't all they were doing. We could talk with them.
So you're saying it was
You
the
think-
candlestick maker in the kitchen with the knife?
The thing is I want to go to the Lord to see if he can piece together what he was attempting to do with any of this stuff. But also, if you want to track down a different lead, we can hold off on that. But I don't really see any
Our best shot
leads
is the Lord.
to something else.
I think the best shot we have is to go talk to the Lord. I don't think the Lord is going to know anything less than the Guildmaster does. I'm pretty sure the Guildmaster was just a means to the end to keep up the illusion of a functioning home. But by all means, if you guys feel like you need to go talk to them.
From what we know about this guy, he was a gifted arcane user, right? The guy that owns this.
I
home?
wouldn't say gifted. I would just say trained. Like it's well studied.
Okay, trained.
Yeah.
Trained.
Someone that is a noble and they were well studied in the Imperial College of Beelder.
I mean, he could have killed somebody else and then ran away and used this to cover up what he did.
Why would he leave his ship behind?
Yeah.
Precisely.
He would want it to look like a struggle, so it looked like he was the victim.
Yeah.
Also, why would he take the body with him?
I do think we need to go talk to the Lord, though. We have a whole kind of... I mean, just because he didn't tell us any of this, so we need to, fill in the gaps.
So why was I called here?
That's a good question.
Just so that you could be informed, and we thought you might
I
want to
mean-
pick the lock, but
We
friend
we
here
were
did.
thinking that that Martin might need to be assassinated, and you have a knack for that.
My name is not Martin, it's Marvin. But
Yeah, we didn't ask
Sure.
you.
why are you all so rude? And this one keeps threatening my life. And yet I took no treasure. I left it within the safe. I'm letting you decide all of what you want to do, which seems honestly quite stupid to me. Why would you tell and talk to the Lord, which might end up being some information is passed in? All I can tell you at this point is, since you all are making your own conclusions, and it seems like you're all going to get on your own path, and of course you're going to do your own investigations and things, I would be hesitant to relay any information that you have to any other sources besides yourselves. As there could be eyes upon you, there could be individuals that watch you, as it was quite easy to follow you myself. So I will leave you all.
So
now.
you're saying don't leave any witnesses. That's sound advice.
If you need
Malgor,
me
right?
again, do not find your way to the Rudkar Guild House. It is not wise that you would make your way there and
I'll just send you a
potentially being
message.
followed and things. You can send message to me if you'd like, or you can simply light the bullseye lantern 3 times from your rooms. I will have my members and representatives watch over you, and they will signal me, and I will make my way to you for an audience. Of course. Is this agreed?
I will find
good.
you if I need you.
why are y'all so...
Honestly, you all are very much. What is the phrase? Edgelord? Isn't that what it is called here?
No,
Cut the
you're
loose.
thinking out the you're thinking murder Hobie.
Oh yes, murder hobo. I think we might be on verge of both, but it's okay. I'm a little loose. It's all right. Anyways, you all have a
Marvin,
good day.
thank you
Stay
for
safe.
your assistance.
And you are welcome. I'm just here to help, and I'm glad you all figured out what it is you are attempting to do.
Can I ask you something before you leave?
Yes, what?
If we went to meet with the Lord, do you think it would be a good idea if we met with him and then asked him to clear the court?
You can simply ask to clear court. That is something that the Lord will do. The Lord is very confident. He's very powerful as well. A very high, strong, trained, and well-studied paladin. I would imagine the Lord is capable of killing any one of you and all of you if they wish. So it is not something they fear or whatnot. And they are truthful. So you ask, they will tell. There's someone
And
that
that
is there, but
would that keep spying eyes off of us if we cleared it?
Yes, well, the actual keep itself was built by the early stages of Sular Kingdom. After the century was found, the keep itself was one of the largest structures that was produced after the outpost in Fort Frostbeard. It was made by dwarfs conscripted to attempt to pay for work in masonry, and the Ruglark, which is a dwarven magi guild which is long gone after disbanded from the death and slaying of Barry Thune, and absorbed by the Wizard's Keep. Anyways, I can keep going on, but just know that the keep itself is actually has runes and things that help protect it from divination and other sorts of magic. So, that is something that will keep you nice and quiet and safe.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for all
Good.
your help.
All right. Well, send for me if you must, or this one will attempt to find me. Good luck with that one. Laughs to themselves and begin to walk out.
I'd like to point out, as the person with the highest intimidation in the group, that all I've been doing is like leaning against the wall and smoking this whole time.
He didn't give a shit. He was very comfortable surrounded by us. He also unlocked something with a 37 on his lockpick, so I don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's so we're going to the Lord, right? That's our first step.
Maybe because if he purposely left something out, I'm not entirely sure if he would tell us now. Anyway,
If he
I
wants
mean-
us to continue with his fucking errand, he will.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
we'll
to
just-
hell with him, and he can figure
just-
it out.
Yeah, we'll just refuse to finish the investigation. I mean, we need more information. We're kind of at a point where like we can't really do that much more.
well, I mean,
We're doing him a favor.
Before we
Our
wrap
quest
up-
lies elsewhere. If he wants this done, he can be honest, or we can be off.
I mean, I'm sure they already did it, but we can always do the investigator thing and start asking the local area, the neighbors and stuff, what they saw.
Okay, Zeph, this is what I'm curious about. Why wouldn't we just go to someone we know knew this guy, and we know he kept information from us, and just see what he says?
I'm more worried about kind of like what Marvin was saying, though, is it's every possibility that the wrong people might pick up on what we already know and try to further hide whatever they're hiding.
But we don't know that much. That's what I'm getting at. What do
Yeah.
we know?
So if we get cut off right here, it'll make it harder later. Because sure, we can go to the lore, and even if he's not purposely trying to hamper anything, which I doubt. Just the
Okay,
fact
let me
that we're-
rephrase it
Let-
like this. What would you do instead?
Well, I
what
just named one
would
thing.
be your first steps?
Try
'cause-
to figure out what people saw recently. Because my problem is that if we go to the Lord, now anyway,
Right.
because even if we clear out the court, because people already know we're on the case, and if we did the same day go back to the Lord and say, "Hey, could you clear out the court? We want to talk to you about something," that at the very least people would know that we know something.
Right. But if we don't go and get that information and we talk to people in the area, and if we're being spied upon, it seems like that would happen either way. That seems less secure to just talk to random people.
Let's
It-
just walk around town for an
That's
hour while
why I
Thanos
was-
is hidden and
that's why I
having
was
find
just
who's
saying-
following.
That's why I
Let's
was
say,
saying,
if you don't-
ask. That's why I was saying ask around, get more information before we approach anybody else.
I think
don't-
that what the actual issue here that Marvin was trying to convey, and I think I'm just going to help you out just a little bit through the delegation of what you're going to attempt to do, is that it's more about who you are going to trust. They've already stated that Lord Thallonfalor is a trustworthy individual. They will tell you the information that you seek. They will protect you if they need to, and they will do these things. So, is that someone that you think that you can trust yourselves, right? They'll trust you, but can you trust them? And they will tell you the truth. And Marvin did not care if you trusted them either way. just did not care. Just going to tell you that they were doing this, they're investigating, you believe them or you don't, and they're going to help you or not, and they're just going to walk off because that is the character of Marvin. Yeah, they're just very carefree and kind of go with the flow, and they're feeling it out, and they're just trying to be a good, genuine person, it seems. So, but that is what Marvin was trying to say, was that you just need to be careful of who you're going to trust because the eyes are going to be upon you. It's not that you're going to be followed, that someone's going to follow you and watch you and things. But Marvin does not know who is doing this, or if it's one or if it's many or whatever. So that was the point they were trying to make, was that you just have to be careful of who you're going to tell this information to and where you're going to go after this investigation.
That's also
all that was
also
meant.
thinking about is who else do we know and could trust with this information? I mean, like, where
What
do we
about the
turn
blood hunters?
otherwise? The
Yeah,
blood
The
hunters?
You have Elle. You could try to ask for Elle and figure out they might be able to help you. You could also go to Valria in the Century Cathedral and be a holy person, someone that is devoted, and not only that, but you have something that can do what it does, the stick. So they could be something of 8. You could also maybe convey back to Lord Downfloor, or you can go to Wranglar. Right? Wranglar ain't gonna bullshit you. So, Wranglar is gonna tell you straight up. So it's really your delegation, and what you're going to do is entirely up to you. But I just wanted to essentially reemphasize what Marvin was what they were saying.
I was just trying to get an idea of what Zeph was wanting to do, other than go see the Lord. Because
mostly just doing due diligence and gathering what information we can while we're here before we try reporting anything. Because,
The only thing I was gonna say before we left was making sure that pool of blood in the kitchen doesn't have anything to do with the basement in regards to a body being buried down there. But I don't know what the floor was like.
Well,
in the basement.
there was no illusion magic in the basement, right?
No, there's no
No
illusionary
magic at all.
magic. There's no magic at all that you were detecting inside of the actual cellar, and in particular, the blood itself was dried. It's older, so it's just kind of stained into the floor at this point. Could be someone that attempted to clean it up, sopped it up a little bit, but again, through the steps of what you had seen, through the destruction of what you had seen, clearly that this was not. If every other disappearing person was kept really well and essentially things were cleaned in the way that Marvin had stated, as well as what's already been stated by other individuals, that this would not be the same MO. That this is a very rushed process.
Okay.
I think if we were to do anything,
Thanos, y'all haven't spoken. What do y'all want to do?
I need to have a conversation with the Lord.
Yeah, I don't think there's any keeping Maldor away, so I'm just following along.
I would tend to agree with Maldor. I believe that he put us on this task. Why he left out whatever information Maldor seems to be upset about, that's his own business, but
We need
he
to
is the
know.
taskmaster, so we go to
I
him
would-
when we have updates on the task.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would also point out the Blood Hunters again, just because after we spent that time learning about the sword, based off of his kind of prompting for me, and then realizing that the book for the summoning of the demon and the details about the demon followers up in High Rock might be of interest to him, that at some point I think we should go talk to him. Now that we
give
have
the
this
book to
evil-
the Blood Hunter.
Yeah,
Oh, like
yeah, to L.
separately. Okay.
And also now that you have this very clearly evil necrotic piece of
yeah,
stick,
wand
you
or
know.
stick, whatever it is.
potentially could be insightful or something, either
Well, we
before
can-
or after speaking to the Lord. I think.
Okay.
Order
Well, we
doesn't
can
matter.
follow that lead a little bit and then return to the Lord later. If that's what you would like.
I think in my opinion, the best course of action is just You know, the Lord has been very upfront with us, and I think he would continue to be upfront with us if presented with his information. And I think that if we were to do anything before talking to him, is maybe do some individual research onto what this artifact is, to just gain that much of an upper hand on the situation.
I
Because we
think
already
he-
have an angle.
Would he know what the artifact is? That's what I'm curious about.
We won't
I
know until
almost
we ask him.
so my
The
thing
person
is
who
I
found
kinda-
it was working for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I want to bring it to him and see what his reaction is.
He's also the fool that put a damn warlock in charge of High Rock. Let's not forget.
Yeah. Let's go. I don't want to do anything that we're not in agreement with. So let's try to.
I'm down to
maybe,
go with the Lord.
Maybe we should just take a vote.
I mean, we could also, regarding what I was suggesting about asking people, we could shortcut that a little bit by just asking the guard that's right here outside what they did, what if anything they learned. Because like I said, I'm sure they already asked people.
Yeah, let's see if we can do that then.
Well, given the fact that Marvin also said eyes will be on us, I am going to try to remain unseen. So I will follow you to the manor, or to the Lord. But
Okay.
So you're going to talk to the guards outside?
Thanos is going to climb on the roof.
All right. Go make an acrobatics check, please.
1.
All right. You're on the roof. Scaling out maybe some of the windows, climbing on top of the roof. We're also not in the dead of night, but it's dark, so you're not invisible, but you have enough kind of concealment from the light, the overcast of snow falling down. So aiding towards your potential passive stealth as you acrobat and get upon the actual rooftop from the second story. You go ahead and cue some stuff.
The acrobatics icon is like straight up Cirque du Soleil.
I'm
Yeah.
also going to cast Pass It Out my trace on myself so that way I don't wake anyone up as I run across their roof while I follow these guys.
Okay,
Wait,
so
you're not
getting
just
a
gonna fly?
+10.
It's not. I mean, I can fly from roof to roof, but I'm not going to fly throughout the night.
I'm not gonna fly. Don't worry about it. All right.
Just jump.
So you you get upon the roof. The rest of you are able to, go out the same way as everyone else that goes out. And so you see now the two guard, the gnome that's there, kind of turns around, looks towards you. Well, did you find anything?
Not really sure.
Oh,
More questions mainly.
more
But
questions.
we were actually hoping to, because I'm sure you guys already did a canvas of the neighborhood and asked the neighbors and stuff.
What's what we did?
Was there anything of note with what they said?
No, nothing to note. The house and every of the streets relatively undisturbed.
This was a good idea, but I don't think we're getting anywhere.
Are you done with the house then? We'll board it back up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we should be.
All right,
Yeah.
let's get it back. Against the hammer. Human taking the top
Surprised you
end,
guys
gnome
didn't come
taking
in
the
when
lower.
the windows exploded.
Well, we figured that was just part of your investigation. I'm not entirely sure your
No.
efforts and whatnot. We're just here to put on tasks to make sure no one enters in or leaves that are not authorized, and also take you to the Commander Wrangler Uku or Lao Dowin for law, if that's your choice.
Yeah, we need to go to Lord Bound for Lore.
Seeking an audience with thy lord. All right, well, this is all boarded up now. Good, nice and tight. Won't you come on? Just walk
Thank
off
you.
down the road.
Oh man.
Oh, wait, is it dim light?
Yeah, we're not in darkness.
Check something.
We're not in darkness. We're not in night. We're kind of in that dusk stage. So technically not really dim either. But why?
I was gonna polymorph into a bat
Oh,
if it
okay.
was dim enough.
I mean, you can still polymorph into a bird.
Well, the cloak only allows
The
me to
cloak.
polymorph. Yeah, in
Yeah, I
dim or
don't.
darkness.
Yeah, we're not really there yet for the cloak, but
Okay. Yeah.
so
that's
you're
fine.
so you're trying to scale the building.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay, eventually you're gonna run out of real estate because then we come into the manor grounds and the walls and the large housing
Yeah, we
and
are,
everything's
aren't
kind
we?
of separated. So, I mean, you can follow for a bit, but eventually you're gonna have to scale down.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna stick to the alleyways as much as I can. Whatever I can to stay up with them, but also hidden.
Swim
Okay.
through the moat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow getting into the keep's grounds. Are you going with the audience, or are you staying outside of the keep's grounds?
Oh yeah, no. Once they get to the door, I will just kind of like show up behind them. But
Okay.
I just don't trust people.
This is
Gotcha.
so extra. This
It's
is
very
so
extra.
extra.
Just doing Thanos stuff.
Well,
It's fine.
Marvin did say we were being followed.
Very
Like,
Yeah,
so
I
Okay.
mean,
Honestly, Maldor would probably have told you if you saw whoever was following us to just fucking kill them. Like,
Yeah,
Okay,
Maldor's
so-
in a mood.
we're all familiar with the keep. We're all familiar with how to get there. I don't need to go through another description of that, so it's just going to take more time. So, just going to tell you that the guard are coming up to the gate. They're signaling it's opening. Brought forward. They take you to the courtyard. Eventually, they disperse themselves. Got a signal to the guards up by the actual the grand hall right there, blocking that door. And then that is going to be the map that I'm going to activate, and your tokens are all there.
I guess I'll lead the way again.
Swing open.
Sorry.
bless you.
Yes.
It's a hell of an introduction.
Tegan, Luke, are you
Yeah,
going in?
Yeah. I'm trying to refresh right now. My thing's a little bugging.
Split you the back end. Doors lock and shut behind you.
Oh,
As you pass in, you see there's a lot of people in the court. Right, we're not in public court time or towards the evening, things like that. So potentially these are individuals that might have had dinner, right? Dining hall-esque. Maybe they had food, things like that, and now they're kind of enjoying themselves. So many of them have actual like metal or silver goblets or steins. And they're drinking ales or meads and wine. They're kind of just having conversation, chatter. So the court itself is having a kind of a small crowd vibe. So I'm just going to go ahead and cue that as the voices are kind of making way. Eventually, you are just kind of striding forward. Everyone kind of turns and looks in the direction of you all as you approach down the runner, and the crowd kind of slowly subsides and just stares into the direction of you all. As the Lord is currently drinking from a golden goblet, and they're kind of just swashing around, just talking and speaking to a couple of the different council members to the sides and things, and they kind of stretch and look in the direction of you as they're loosely there. They're also not in their armor, so they're actually wearing looks to be some regal kind of tunic clothing of white, gold, and red, and then they have, in addition to that, some purplish maroon kind of pigmentations of the toggles as well as the clips that come with the tunic to the side, and then they have leathers of pants and wool that describe the actual boots. So again, regal-esque, but not necessarily. So this might be some leisurely wear that they're wearing. They're not wearing like a full kind of outfit. If they were having a formal dinner party, it's more just like casual. So see you and kind of set down the goblet upon the arm of the throne and stand forward and kind of clasp the hands.
I would
I hope
give
you
him
brought good news.
I would give him like a
News.
slight bow and say, "My lord, can we clear the court,
You want me to clear the court?
if you don't mind?"
We've just finalized with food, and many of these are talking and speaking amongst themselves. Houses and families that are loyal to my throne. And you want me to clear them?
Yes, I would feel more comfortable.
All right, everyone, get out of my throne room. I have business to discuss with these individuals. You are my counsel here.
I'll probably look at Maldor and you're like, "Do you care if the council's here?"
I cannot. It depends on how many ears you wish to hear things you didn't want to say the first time around.
All of the individuals inside of this grand hall are loyal to the throne. Anything that's to discuss is free to speak. They will stay loyal.
Clear the court, please. All of them.
Making demands of Lord as such. Interesting. Sidesteps through, goes to the edge of the throne, turns the actual throne around, and then
Wonder
grabs
request,
the
but-
great sword and puts the great sword over side and kind of sheaths it towards the back, having the sword on the back, and pushes the throne back to some sort of cubby backspace of the wall. It's kind of interesting. The throne's almost like on a turndial. The white marble almost turned. So he's now beginning to fumble and outwards. The council's leaving. Many people are going out to the courtyard, particularly the guards. Other guards are just going through the wall spaces and segments. So they're actually just kind of going into the corridors of open pockets that potentially are there. Just kind of getting outside of earshot, but also staying close enough that in case there's yelling or distress, they can rush in case there's anything there. The doors also of the throne room are locked and then partially open, so I'll just kind of signify that they're unlocked there, and I'll keep them closed because they're just loosely, right? So in case they would need to rush in, right? So it's there. The Lord does not seem to be fearful of any kind. Even without armor, they have the sword at the back. They're just kind of looking and stretched, and standing there and looking.
Yep. Thank you for agreeing. I realized that was a weird request.
It is not a weird request. I clear the court during public forums if there's things that need to be discussed in private that my council does not wish to be made aware of, nor of my royal guard. What I will state is this one, points towards Maldor, is giving off quite an interesting vibe, if you will. I sense much hostility from them.
I dislike being misled by the machinations of those who would deem themselves powerful.
Yet you wear the symbol, at least you did, of Helm, did you not?
Indeed, I did.
And you were given many orders and commands that you also did not know the full truth of.
And it turns out the thousands of years I spent devoted to those who would call themselves divine and mislead me were a waste. So speak plainly when you give us a task. This Randall Gurn that disappeared was in your employ and had met with you multiple times.
Randall
You would send us
Gurn,
after him without the information we need to complete your stupid task.
I would ask that you refrain from such language in my hall, and I will forgive you, as I can sense from you that you are confused. You have found something in the house of Randall Gurn. The collector, sent here by King Reldor Talthar, after they had uncovered that the piece of the Sun Tree had some connection to a staff.
I will ask Thanos to take out the stick that gave me necrosis.
And here it is. And you have found it.
Yeah,
You must
behind
understand.
It was
I do not.
behind an.
I'm speaking.
I'm sorry.
I can ask where it is. I do not care, though. And you will surely find this once I tell you. Business of finding religious artifacts is not business of mine, nor do I care. What I care about is that someone has disappeared, regardless of who they are or their motivations. If they are missing because of a reason why they are here, then that would be different than of all the other disappearances in the city. for all of them, have no connection whatsoever. Randall Gurn is someone that I do not know, and it is someone that has met in court in attempts to understand why the Sun Tree would not speak with them, nor would the Sun Tree speak with anyone. They have figured a connection between this and its origin, which they believe to be the Sun Tree. They think, again, this is all speculation, that this piece is some sort of part of a staff that has the power of resurrection and bringing those back to life that were once dead. A staff that was used by the Black Hand during the Crusades. I am not a historian, nor a scholar. I will do what thy king commands, and that was to aid Randall Gurn in their investigations, and attempting to figure out if this speculation was indeed true. They met with me simply to understand more about the Sun Tree and the conversations that I have had, which I cannot have, as the Sun Tree speaks to no one. In addition, they had met with Valria and spoken with them in great length.
When we did our investigation on the house, we had to undo an enchantment that hid a struggle within the house, covered by illusion magic. Once it was uncovered, the house was destroyed. A lot of the furniture was destroyed. Parts of the staircase was destroyed. And there was a dried blood patch on the floor, about mortal to a humanoid. But other than that, there was no trail of where they had gone. Only the journal that showed us that he had met with you several times, and the other contents in the safe, which was money and this stick.
It would be wise to keep this if they do speculate it as such, under such protections. I am not aware of the arcane, how this all works. It seems that this was a lengthy process, and they have taken stride to conceal it. It could be part of the disappearance. Perhaps Randall has been targeted. But in order to do that, they would need to know why they are here. That could either be found by spies in my courtroom, which is possible, or it is found that they are indeed the collector, and that someone in Beelder within the People's Palace is a spy.
The problem that we came across is that because there are no more leads, we didn't really know where to go next with the investigation. And that's why we came to speak to you. Maybe you had some kind of connection to him and knew where you went.
I had no more connection to them than someone that would speak to an acquaintance on the sidewalk of this city. I merely gave them the same information I would give anyone that would speak to me about the Sun Tree. In addition, I did not give them any resources, nor any sort of signed stewardship or warrant for any of their investigations, as I did such as yours. I've spoken to many guard and soldiers, spread about that you would be on task of investigating, and you would have my resources if you needed them. This was not given to Randall Gurn. Randall Gurn wanted to operate under secrecy and shroud. That is of the way that they wanted. And that is what they wished, and so it is a wish that I was obligated to follow. If it was up to me, Randall Gurn, caring of something as such, would be kept in protection of this keep. Most likely the object that they spoke about would be in my treasury, protected by easily 36 guard. But in the end, it would seem that it is protected, and that if someone was trying to find it, they were not successful.
My question is, well, what do you want us to do next? How would you like us to proceed with no leads? Would you?
This is
What
the
is
very
the-
thing that Commander Ranglar Uku found. No leads. The scenes were kept clean. They were picked up after themselves. I would look for differences in what has happened into the house. You had very loosely described to me what had happened in the house and how this was all stored and protected. I would look into the very reason that some of these inconsistencies were, and from that begin to make your assumptions and speculations. You can also speak to Valria. They are a most trusted bishop within the clergy of the Sun Tree. They warrant its protection. They also train many clerics and initiates, and individuals that train and learn at the Library of Light. Any information spoken to them is kept secret and protected. They cannot tell anyone else if you do not wish it. I do know
My
that
lord.
Randall spoken to them, so perhaps they know more. Yes.
I know it's a long shot because you consider yourself not well versed in the arcane, but do you know of any particularly strong illusionists that reside here in the city?
The last person that I knew of that had mastery over the arcane, that was well studied and versed, was my previous magistrate and the last of the arcane, whose name went by Gular Berlu. They were studied and trained within Glinlaw, and they served as third magistrate to the People's Palace, to thy King Reldor Talthar. When I assumed the throne here, they were put in position as my first and only magistrate. Troubled as they were, they grew mad. They were under the hunt of something dark and twisted. They took many trips into the marshes of Unveiling, attempting to find whatever it is they were looking for. I banished them from the city. I told them never to return, and gave them due process for all the years of service they had provided, simply thinking they might have been merely misguided in their intentions of what they were trying to do. It was for the betterment of the reign of Talthars, my throne, the people of Arthuria. I did not know. Any attempt to find the truth was found in dishonesty. Gular was very strong-willed. Even a zone of truth was not entirely successful. They did return. And upon their return, even after the banishment, they were mad, continued the same phrasing of their madness. They were looking for something in the marshes, and that they had spoken and met with a black dragon called Grugash, an attempt to find something they called as the Pass of Unyielding. They continued this madness and the shroud about them. I could smell it upon them, and I had no choice but to execute them.
A Talthar executed a master of the arcane. That sounds awfully familiar.
I am not a Talthar. I am a Falor.
You serve the Talthar, do you not?
This throne and my lordship is loyal to thy king. And you would be wise to not speak against them.
Merely an observation.
Where were his remains taken once he was killed?
Gular Berlu was buried within the crypt, the lowest levels of the common crypt. Many of our delegates and officiaries are buried within a section, as well as notable commanders and soldiers that even date back to the Sular Kingdom.
Isn't it, were we, excuse me, will there be any way for us to be granted access to those remains?
Of course, Crespa Ilyar, a dwarf, someone that grew up inside of the city, and their forefathers and bearers actually helped design and run the crypt. They are a patron, the Boundside Tavern, usually. You can reach out to them yourself if you wish, or I can send message and envoy to them, attempt to schedule something. The crypt is not open to the public. If their investigation takes you there, I'm sure that we can get you authority to go in, and I would suggest going with Crespa, as they have the keys needed, and, well, the know-how and knowledge about the crypt.
Is there any way you can summon? Oh man, I'm blanking on her name. The woman in the church in the cathedral.
You wish
Let's go
to
talk to her.
you wish to summon Valria. That would take time.
Yes, if it's possible, because I would like to ask her those questions in a safe area like this, just so that no harm would come to her or us by
The
prying
difficulty
eyes.
with your request is you have asked that I remove my council, which includes some of my messengers and envoys of Relay. So, as you can see, we're posed with a problem.
Yes,
And it is
I'm sorry.
also quite late. Is this something urgent that you cannot simply go there and request audience yourself with them?
I'm just worried about somebody overhearing it. Maybe we can. But it might be fine. I don't know how worried I should be about people hearing about this. I don't know. That's
We
what
could
I'm
wait
worried
till
about.
tomorrow. If some of us could bear to prepare for actual investigation, because I know we basically entered the city today, and same day we're investigating, so we haven't
Yeah.
really had proper time to fully prepare. So if we start in the morning, we could prepare some stuff to aid further.
Also,
I mean, I don't think
half
anything
of
we might
us-
uncover can't wait. So
half of us can speak telepathically. So if there's anything very
I don't think
sensitive-
we can go that far, though, right? Let me look at it.
you mean to the telepathy? Isn't that like 60 feet?
Depends on the ability. There's different ones.
Yeah, it's within 60 feet.
Out of character, someone should invest in the silence spell. Perhaps,
Does that silence
everything
perhaps
in it,
Silver Falls Emporium has a scroll, huh?
Yeah, we could visit there.
Yeah, could get the silence spell. It's also a second level spell, and you've never checked for it in the tome, so you can always try to see if it's there.
Right. Does anyone else have any further questions? Because I think the lead that we were just given might be our best shot at the moment.
Thank you, Lord. I don't think we have any further questions, and I was just concerned about prying eyes because we want to keep this as low key as possible.
Your concern is warranted. Disappearing people in the holy city and who is at front, you'd obviously want to keep this information kept private and secluded to those you trust. I understand. If you wish to summon Valria here, I will make necessary steps to have them come, but it is late, so unless this is a very urgent matter, and you do not wish to go them to yourself, perhaps it is better to wait until the next day.
Yeah, that'll work.
My lord,
to
one
me,
more
none of us
question
want to
before we leave. Did your magistrate have any immediate family or apprentices of your knowledge whatsoever?
I do not know where or if any family that Gular had. I do know they studied in Glindlar, which is a wizarding school in Melandar, far south. It is a notable school. It's well trained, and many of them go on to be officiators and delegation, many elves as well. But family I do not know. If there are any, they most likely would
What?
be in Melandar.
Why have you not taken another magistrate?
I have not taken another magistrate of the arcane. It is not that I fear it or despise it of any kind. It just merely means that I do not find someone well suited that has the studies that Gular had that would serve this throne well.
Imagine that'd be kind of a hard position to fill.
Well, with that being said, as Varus was saying, thank you very much, my lord. I do apologize for the rashness of some of our comments here today, and your graciousness for clearing your court upon request.
Of course. And go in good faith. 1,000 blessings of Pelor upon you.
1,000 blessings upon you.
You may come back in now. We're finished.
They were within earshot the whole time. Then now the
Yelling
Loud enough.
with a booming voice. And you see now guards that were outside in the courtyard coming in, and then those are actually now going towards the doors and opening the doors and telling others. So there's a relay of information. Things are beginning to happen.
Gotcha.
I'm just
I'm
gonna
lagging so
telepathically
bad.
say to Maldor that we should probably talk. You're making me a little nervous. I don't mean to offend you, but I think we should maybe get some things out in the open.
That was telepathically?
Yeah.
I don't. That ability does not give me the ability to respond telepathically.
No, I was just kind of looking for like a nod or something, but I didn't want to say it in front of everybody.
I'm sorry if my demeanor brings you discomfort. The leader of this town has expressed his interest in us speaking plainly and honestly. That is all I did.
I mean, like I said, there's nothing. I'm not worried about you attacking anybody unnecessary. I just want to know what's wrong. I mean, one minute you were in high spirits heading to the cathedral, and then the next minute you come out and you look like you want to chop everybody's head off.
I did learn some things. So this chosen one, this path that we've been put upon, these stones. The stones are just a conduit. There is something in us, something that has been put in us that binds us to it, not the other way around.
Also, also wanted to point out something that I was learning after reviewing recent information we learned. Because, like, the lore dump you put in, that's everything our characters would know by this point from what we learned recently,
Yeah.
right? Because the names Haran and Balak were mentioned, making that sword that killed Barathun. And I believe Belknap is, but I know Haran is one of the great elder worms that we're looking for.
Wait, I think I might have missed something. What was?
Yeah, Haran was the gold dragon, but I think the one that you communicated with was the spawn of Haran, right? Or was it Haran himself?
No. The one I communicated with, I believe, yes, was Haran. but they were
Oh no,
saying
yeah, that's
something
right.
about
Haran,
yeah,
who was a spawn of
contacting.
Eskuk. Yeah.
They were saying something about contacting Haran or Belknap. I mean, first before contacting them again. But I was just commenting that both of those two were also involved in forging the magical sword that ultimately killed Berthun.
Yeah, they were the OG dragons.
Yeah, them and some Ravish. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
but-
Ravashid.
Okay. Yeah.
Lord Palafalor, were there any reports of attacks by a gold dragon?
I don't
No.
think we've come across
When
any
you-
yet.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he didn't mention that one. He just talked about
We got the silver, we got the black, we got the red. I think there
And
was
the
a
green.
blue. Oh, green. Yeah.
It's a green one.
And a silver, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I said first.
Yeah, the silver
Oh,
was
yeah,
the
okay.
dwarves.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's no attacks from a gold dragon. The gold
Yeah,
Well, that's not
dragon
what
but
they've
that-
reported.
made
That's not the entire.
their
Because that's like immediately south, northeast, far south, and I think southwest, but nothing southwest or east.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed very disinterested. I mean, he only told us a certain amount of information for one, but he seemed
only
rather
knew.
disinterested in things like that weren't happening near Athema, or he wasn't directly being asked to go handle like the red dragon problem.
Maybe we should call it a night, and we'll pick up
Yeah.
the investigation in the morning.
Like I have a few spells that would be useful that I can prepare. Like I have locate object if we find something more specific that we can try to locate. Zone of truth. would be
Also,
quite
I
useful.
just want to be transparent to what I was asking the Lord. I do think that it's not a coincidence that this necromantic artifact is connected somehow to his former magistrate that was taking exploits into the marshes of Unveiling.
Well, what
think
is
those
it
two-
connected to? That is that what he said?
No, but
That's
I
the
mean, I
magistrate
don't
was
think
after
I don't
something.
think that was.
Oh,
That's
you
that
think this
far of
might
a
have been what he
leap.
was after, and then the other part might be wherever in the unveiling.
And
Maybe.
considering we're dealing with an artifact that brings people back to life, death might not have ended his desire to find this thing.
Which question? They were saying about it was supposed to bring people back, but did he mention did it bring people fully back or just like undead back?
It said it was it had something to do with resurrection or raising the dead. Is what my
Yeah, but
identifier
that could
said.
there's kind of a spectrum there.
It's
'cause,
a
like,
big range. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Like, are
don't
they just animating their body, or are they actually bringing them back?
Doing more investigation, I think checking his remains would be a very
Yeah,
logical
that's
option,
that's,
'cause
that's
if he's
definitely
back, if he's back from the dead, then his remains would not be in his tomb.
right.
Theoretically, if he had a physical form.
No, I mean that's a good idea. Like I
Thanos,
said,
you
I mean,
you came from the Marshes of Unveiling. Were you familiar with this crazed mage who was apparently exploring down there?
I have not heard that name. However,
What about this?
if they weren't an
pass-
elf, I wasn't truly interested in finding them.
What about this passive unyielding? That's what he called it, right?
I don't know anything about that.
That-
We can definitely
Have
get
I
to that
heard of?
question.
Is that? Hold on. It's not ringing any bells. I'm not seeing it in.
Nope. You would not know what the passive unyielding is.
Got it. So I would shake my head.
I didn't. You don't have any idea what this stick would be connected to or anything, right?
Nope.
Well, a nature check for sticks.
It's an oak tree.
I think we probably should continue in the morning. I think we've done pretty much all we can do tonight.
Okay, and the other thing is, I think with Varys wearing that necklace, he should be in possession of the stick. in case I don't know if the divination magic is blocked with things on their person, and it's not just to find their person, but
I can read
that's
you
my
the
thought process.
description of what it does. While wearing the amulet, you are hidden from divination magic. You can't be targeted by such magic or pierced through by magical scrying sensors.
Yeah, it's against
It's
people
just
trying to
him.
spy him externally.
It's just
So
him.
if-
It's just him. So if someone's scried, then you basically he would not be there, and all the words that he would speak would not be spoken. So you technically wouldn't exist if you were being scried. The objects if there was an object on your person, the object on your person is in addition protected by the scrying, so they can't scry the item. It does not mean that they do not, if they use like a locate object, that they would not know, they would know where that object is. In addition, the object itself currently is in a bag of holding, so
Yeah, that's
it's
what I was
not.
about to
It's
say.
not even
That
technically
by
on
itself.
you.
Yeah. Different plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, different plane.
It's
So we're pretty
also,
protected from locate objects.
Yeah, and it's also much harder to find me than it is to find Ferris through normal means.
I mean, I can go invisible, but
I just don't want anything to happen while we sleep. Call me cautious, call me paranoid.
no, I
but
mean that's very fair. I think it's just as safe on Thanos that it is on me. But I mean, I will carry the bag if you'll want me.
I mean, I
Yeah,
have
I think,
one. I know Thanos had another one.
Yeah, we put it in Thanos' bag.
I think we get some sleep and then maybe talk over a game plan in the morning to see where we continue.
Yeah, I think that's a very solid plan. I mean, we have
And-
more leads now. We're not just dead in the water, so.
Maldar, I hope
Oh,
you know that
also-
our
Go ahead.
hope you know that our reactions to things are not anything judging you. We know how you are. We know how you operate. You don't like being lied to. You don't like being misled. None of us do.
I
Just know that
me
it doesn't change our opinions of you.
asking is out of concern, not out of judgment.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say regarding that is that the only part where there was really an issue with Thor was mainly that you weren't just stating facts; you were also being making accusations to him, which is
Were
where
my
the issue was.
accusations untrue?
That's completely besides the point.
That
Because
was
you're
my
talking to someone who has actual power to just get rid of us if he wanted to.
It's more about
So
our safety in this town more than anything else.
We are being hunted by someone who commands fucking dragons. We are safe nowhere. I care not for this pathetic lord and his divinity.
But
I'm just
my-
saying that we don't
my,
need to make it harder on ourselves
yeah,
while we're
that
here
was-
for no good reason.
That was also what I was
Like,
gonna
if you
say.
think he's actually responsible for something bad, that's one thing. But actually being accusatory against someone who can just tell us to fuck right out of his city.
I would gladly fuck right out of this shit.
We
Okay, I
chose to
think
be here, though.
I
That's
think
the
we
problem.
need to calm down. I think we're butting heads when we don't need to here.
It's
okay.
okay. I mean, we
Things
haven't
were
talked-
said. It's in
we
the
haven't talked
past.
About this,
The
you
only
know.
thing I was saying is that it's completely possible to make statements as you were without actually accusing him of anything. Like, that was unnecessary.
And
I
I simply,
appreciate your efforts, but I do think that your energy is wasted on debating the etiquette of court with me.
I agree. I will still try.
Right. I
Because I'd
think,
rather my life not be more difficult than it needs to be when talking to lords and such.
how about we just go get a drink and we get some sleep and we can debate about what to do in the morning.
Fine with me.
Okay.
That I can get behind.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the session then before we get into anything else, describe anything else, and take some time. So we'll go ahead and wrap the session up and see where we're headed next as far as the tavern's concerned, because there's actually more than one tavern here. We got a lot of taverns. We got a lot of action. We got a lot of things. So depends on where you're going to go. So we're going to go ahead and cue the music off here and go ahead and calculate some experience for you all.
I think we should level
5
up.
million.
Oh,
Hopefully.
no. We're probably 2 sessions or another session away from leveling up.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we made good, decent ground, but we didn't. It was mostly investigatory.
I killed 2 walls
That is true. You
And
did
a
murder.
statue.
and a
Some walls.
statue.
Sure, you totally gain double XP for killing walls and objects.
Double kill.
I burned
Like
through
Minecraft XP.
several gold pieces of good halfling leaf, so
I also out magic the magic nerd, so I think I should get XP for that.
You did one thing the whole time. You stood there.
He
and
did the
what-
one thing
Only
that
thing
counted.
that matters.
I was gonna say he did.
Keep your magic little fire fingers out of my business.
You did like one thing the whole time you stood there. You didn't look for any clues. You walked into the bathroom. You're like, oh, passively, I know this is here. And then you're like,
Not my
I'm gonna
fault you're
cast the
fucking
spell
blind.
magic one time.
How did yours go, Chrono Shift boy? Failed twice.
Oh, hit him with it.
throwing hands.
Next session is going to be all PvP. That's just where that's where we're
That's
headed.
fine.
Yeah,
That
I
would be
mean,
a weird fight.
at least
How
I
would
didn't get
Palu?
talked-
How
at
would
least I didn't
Palu
get
feel how you were
embarrassed by a
flirting with Marvin?
shopkeeper, so it's fine.
Let's Marvin Gaye and get it
You
on.
old dwarf's ass right in front of everybody.
What?
All right. Before we get any other further conversation about presentation a dwarf's ass clean, we're going to go ahead
I
and
mean, I didn't touch it. That's all.
we have 1,033 experience each, put you at 22,110 experience total for roleplay, investigations, and things. For watching the stream, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. I'm going to close it out now. So we'll hopefully join us next time when we have this rambunctious group of the ill-fated together again for another adventure. So, look at that.
Yay. Bye.
I